Hotep Sinuhena Senut E TLN Ishakanduku Kemet. How's it going? What's up? Sak passe? Ahlan wa sahlan. Konnichiwa. Niha. And all that good stuff. Oh, forgot to check the sound. Konnichiwa. Niha. Sound is loud and clear. Questions and answers, free discussion. It's on you, brothers and sisters. Take advantage. You know how it goes. Let's have some interaction at least. If you've heard some new claims, because we have so many, if there's something you find interesting or amusing or important, feel free to share it with us. I don't know if it was yesterday. I think it was. A brother came and we talked about Carthage, which is modern days Tunisia, and we spoke about Hannibal because for a very long time people have claimed that Hannibal was black, but really people have said that so many historical slash unattested individuals used to be black, and some people start with Moses, others start with Jesus, and some people claim the same for Muhammad. So that's not only those individuals, but also the inhabitants of the region where those individuals are said to have lived. You see, as a matter of fact, the article dealing with the color of Prophet Muhammad according to Islamic sources, there is a French version as well. So in one of the French videos, when I go through the hadith, someone just came today and left a message asking why don't we talk from the beginning. And that's so funny. We don't have any records from the beginning. The Masa. The Masa. Hold on. So yes, we don't have any records from the beginning. No data that allows us to establish any any ethnicity. But he talked about the challenge. Now the guy is anonymous and unidentified. Doesn't have any single video. We don't know who he is. We don't know what he stands for. There's one guy, however, who has a channel and who used to make that claim about Muhammad being black. And it's the same typical linguistic acrobatics with the word Abiyat. One day he brought a North African I believe he's from Algeria, but basically he's white skin, pale skin. He's not black. And amazingly, he is of the opinion that Prophet Muhammad was black. So this is probably the first white person that I see uh, stating that publicly. So they were both together. But when he touched on the word abiyad, he used it many times and he translated it many times and he translated it with the word white. Because that guy is fluent in Arabic. The other one we could say is fluent as well, the young brother. But obviously, uh, the North African guy is an imam, I forgot to say. So he's obviously more familiar with the Arabic language than the young brother. So as much as the imam feels like the Arab used to be black in the 7th century and Muhammad as well, he will not just go as far as changing the meaning of words. So the young brother indeed issued some challenge, but it's been more than a year he hasn't uploaded anything in his video. And it doesn't surprise me because in the last videos he used to say that he will go to mosque and issue the challenge. And when you do that here, in America, it's like when it comes to Islam, people do a lot of freestyle, but here it's a lot different. People are just way more serious about it. You can just go around and so I think he got a taste of reality, and it's been more than a year hasn't said anything. So it's just funny to me when you have people who act like representatives. But it's not the first time. There was another one who said he wanted to debate the issue, and I said, okay, fine, let's holler this evening. It's on. And first he was like, okay, but then he said, he had some trouble with his phone. Nothing, nothing new under the sun. You know, they had a boost because they came across those quotes that people used to allege blackness of the Arabs of the 7th century. But when we dig a little bit, we see that it's just a smoke screen. See, and it's a shame, really, because there's so many people who don't know the Arabic, and not only they just don't know it because I'm not fluent in Arabic, but they would not take the time, to just look it up. But at the end of the day, uh, we have seen someone claiming that the hieroglyphic symbol means Allah. So I guess anything goes. People love to receive information, but not many people will double check the information. A lot of people will just either accept it or reject it. But sometimes when they reject it, it's not because they know that it is wrong. It's because it's conflicting with their worldview. You see. So we have the Levant, and similarly, a lot of people say originally such and such population had this ethnicity. Uh, so the Levant, Mesopotamia, the Middle East, Near East, all these areas. And we also have a few people who claim the same blackness of inhabitants, indigenous inhabitants, in parts, like the islands around Greece as well, you know. But once again, take heed, ask for dates. That's the first thing. What time period we are dealing with? Understand? And then ask for records, ask for reference. You see? So that claim of blackness is made for people from the Middle East, areas in Greece, and it is also made, amazingly, for members of the Ptolemaic dynasty. You know, Au revoir, maman. Vas-y, va voir maman. Allez, vas-y. Voilà, c'est bien. What is your take? Do you feel that do you believe, do you consider, do you argue that the Canaanites used to be black in 2000 BC, 1500 BC, 1000 BC, first century? Do you think, do you consider, do you argue that the Arabs used to be black in the 7th century? As far as you're concerned, was Hannibal black? Was Cleopatra black? What makes you say so? When I spoke to a Hebrew brother regarding Jesus Christ, he's of the opinion that Jesus Christ was black, and not just him, of course, but the inhabitants of Canaan in the first century. And when I asked him what makes him say so, he said all the evidence. And when I asked him all evidence, he said all the evidence. So a lot of people come from a particular school of thought. They have their places of gathering, places of praying, places of worship, and the speaker will actually say that. And they believe in what the speaker says, so they will just repeat that stuff without having any reference to go by. And we have done that for a very long time. And when I say we, of course, I'm talking about black people. And some people have a hard time expressing a different opinion. Some people have a hard time stating for the record, not to say admitting that what they have said before, what they believed before was not accurate. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There is a difference between pride and ego, but it's about the same thing. Some people eventually, trust me, they realize that what they've been teaching was not accurate, you know. Now, of course, we have the depictions from Kemet, but just like with Herodotus, it seems like some people want to question the accuracy of the eyesight of ancient Egyptians, just like some people do with Herodotus. Some people, well, I don't think they will question the eyesight of Champollion, but we have his quotes. So, what are our traditions? Which traditions should we follow in order to move forward and progress and prosper? We have seen the result of the big guys on the block, the guys who have in lock, who have it on the lock, the guys who have it made. I could say it might be worth trying something else, but it shouldn't be for the sake of it. You need to be convinced. We have a brother from Bermuda, Piccolo son. So it shouldn't be just for the hell of it. It should be because you are informed and because you are convinced. And over the years, I've seen that many people have claimed some traditional African ways of life, but they were not really convinced because all it took is maybe one video, one publication, One publication, a little group of people, like 10 people, who say something about their belief system or tradition, and that's it. They're up and left. Piccolo son wrote, "No, you must convince yourself that is what understanding is." A lot of time I come up with the questions and answers, and I put free discussion or free talk because sometimes I feel like discussion might be too technical, particularly when we deal with the med nature. Not so many people deal with that. But it's amazing how so many people have so much to say in the comments or on other platforms. But here they are free to come and holler and speak their speech. But it's okay. Then of course you have the people who have a melting pot mentality, and they do some extreme syncretism. Some people feel like it's okay, I take what's good everywhere. So they are hybrids. In the long run, it doesn't fly, and in the Abrahamic system, they will not take you seriously or consider you as one of uh, their fellow believers because you cannot be fence riding. Now, I don't know if I should say the name of the organization, but it is quite known in the so-called conscious community where you do have different symbols representing several belief systems, particularly the major belief systems. And I guess this attracts people. We deal with all of it. We deal with it all. We deal with a bit of everything. It all comes from us. Those prophets and patriarchs used to be us. That feel good narrative. And I can really understand that in the 80s and the 90s, and even in the year 2000s, it was appealing. But after that, from the year 2010 until 2020, a lot of people have attempted to set the record straight. And now we've passed 2020, it's time to come correct. We cannot use one passage, one obscure passage for some um, theological writing to go against the archaeological data, let alone the DNA. But if I talk about DNA, we always have somebody who's going to come up and say, well, according to the DNA, such and such population is E1B1B, so that means it's us. But I'm pretty confident that if people, okay, well, it's a bit particular though. If we're dealing, for example, with Canaan, because it's well known that probably the vast majority of the people who live in that state, if we deal with their DNA, will be in many parts of Europe, North Africa, and South Arabia, Yemen. But except from that, if people put up whatever DNA study is available for the different areas in the Levant, Mesopotamia, and all that, who can confidently come to the people and say, look, the data says, the scientist says that it was inhabited by black people. Hold on. Piccolo son wrote, humans don't understand DNA, but scientists do. So, yourself, as an individual, not as a member of a group, there's no such thing as a race as human know it as. People say there's no such thing as race, but I don't think anybody can say there's no such thing as ethnicity. Later on, some people might try to say there's no such thing as ethnic groups or ethnicity, but it's going to be very difficult. It's no longer convenient to talk about race. They done did their 1400 years of slavery and it was very profitable. So now, no, 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 race doesn't exist. Those writings thus far, it used to exist, but now it doesn't exist no more. Just like now we have genders that didn't exist, that nobody knew about, and now it happens. So some people have the ability, the power to change the narratives. For example, they changed the narrative um, regarding the ancient Egyptians, even though we have the records. Thank God we have the records, and we have the the sayings, the quotes, the quotation, the citations of people like Herodotus, people like Champollion. And I was hesitant today about looking for the original writing of Lepsius, who is the one who came up with the reproduction of the tomb of Ramesses III. Now we have Chuck Morgan. I'm glad that you're here, brother. This is the brother who made the video called "The Sumerians Were They Black." Great job. I love that job. And if by any chance you would have a few minutes to spare, and if you don't mind showing your face, I will be honored that you come and say what's up. But otherwise, feel free to use the chat. But once again, brothers and sisters, that's the name of his YouTube account. If you go on a search bar of YouTube and you type in Chuck Morgan, then you add um, the Sumerians, were they black? You will see, you know, because it's always the same line of the Abrahamic belief system. Abraham from Ur, from Mesopotamia, and after him, all these different population, and we are trying to put ourselves in the mix. And it's amazing when we go all the way to the time period of Abraham, but even before Abraham, and most black people who are into the Abrahamic belief system, the majority of the members of the so-called conscious community, they are not aware that we have artifacts and depictions of the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians. And it's a great shock when they face those artifacts. Piccolo Son wrote, you have to understand why it was done. However, you won't figure it out unless you practice the stuff you say you study. Chuck, wrote that he's at work, but when he's off this week, he'd be honored to come on and we can chat. Okay, no problem at all. But thanks for coming in. I appreciate that. So it's a great shock when people are faced with the artifacts of the Sumerians. And of course, with the Sumerians, the first thing that will most likely come into your mind when you hear Sumerians, it will be the black headed ones. And maybe he was talking about the hair. It's a hard pill to swallow. You had a worldview. You first grow up not knowing much about black people. Times now, obviously, it's not the same when it comes to information. The people born in recent years, we have the internet, which is a huge phenomenon. People back then didn't have that. So they grow up, they don't know much about black history. When we grew up, we barely saw black people on TV, let alone black people talking about ancient history. So you get to a point and you learn about black history, and then some people tell you, you know what I'm saying? Moses was black, Jesus was black, Abraham was black, Muhammad was black. It's our stuff. That can boost confidence, give a sense of pride, and so on. But it's just not accurate. And we have some good stuff, as good, if not better. But if I bring it up, they're going to say I'm an Egyptomaniac. But it's okay because there was a whole academic field dedicated to so called Egyptomaniacs. There is no academic field dedicated to black Hebrews, black Arabs, and there is none, of course, dedicated to black Christians. So, what choice will you make? Will you maintain with the realness, or in other words, the truth? Will you be solid, or would you just jump on the bandwagon? Would you just follow the trend? Will you just follow the majority so you can remain in your comfort zone? How come we have so few people that represent? And on a quite constant basis, not to say a regular basis, the traditional African ways of life are being attacked, disrespected, slandered, and all that. Who's standing up? Why is it that while those people claim to be into the traditional African ways of life and they proclaim to learn it, and in some cases to practice the traditional African ways of life, but when people diss it, when people disrespect it, they don't stand up. You don't have to get up and fight. You don't have to pull up on people, but at least you can speak out and defend what you are into. Has someone told you some convenient sentence so that you will refrain from defending your culture, such as crabs in the barrel? So basically, people just come and give you a job and a hook and an uppercut, but you're not supposed to do anything because otherwise it will be crabs in the barrel. So it's so good for them to disrespect your culture. I wish there would be more people stand up. You know, I could give you quotes, but I gave them so many times. But when it comes to Kemet and Ma'at, so many disrespectful stuff was said, and we have so many scholars, elders. They have been very silent. you know. So I remember the rapper Pimp C talk about someone who was part of a group and he was in jail, and Pimp C was criticizing the members of his group for not looking out for him. So he said the name of a group, and he said, I forgot the name of the group. It's not. I don't even think it's a group I'm familiar with. But let's say the group is called the Mighty Brothers. Pimp C, I'm paraphrasing, but was saying, if you're the Mighty Brothers, when the money's flowing in, you need to be Mighty Brothers also when it's trouble, when someone goes to jail. You know, you're supposed to look out for your own. Piccolo wrote, defend for what as king words don't affect this. Okay, I don't understand that sentence. But yeah, it's all good to claim, different traditional African ways of life. But when people disrespect it, hey, man up. Once again, nobody's talking about physical fight. Nobody's talking about drama. Just speak up. Those people, they speak up if they say something that they feel is disrespectful towards their belief system. So there was a lack of heart. There is a lack of heart, and a lot of people, don't even take uh, their tradition seriously. It's almost false flagging, and it's a shame. So there's a need for standard, because I mean, when it comes to the scholarship, we have seen with so many individuals whether they have the formal training or not. Because some people have the formal training, but they are still on some fanciful, fanciful stuff. I'm being diplomatic, but because they have the formal training and the qualifications or degrees, they feel like no matter what they say, they are right. They are only impressing people who are not trained academically or not, and their peers are probably laughing. So, in terms of scholarship, you have a few who are thorough, and it seems as if back in the days, people used to be more thorough. But back in the day, they did the best they could with the information that they had and the environment that they used to be in. The internet is a great tool, can definitely help us. As a matter of fact, you remember the Arab Spring? I think it started in Tunisia. If it wasn't for the internet, it wouldn't have happened. There's one country when uh, um, still Africa, but not the Maghreb region, mainly populated by pale individuals. So one country in Black Africa, like some people say, where a leader ended up bouncing, and that's Burkina Faso. I don't know how much part the internet played into that uprising or that regime change, but elsewhere, we have some leaders who've been there for like 30 years, 40 years. It's not a walk in the park. So thanks to the internet, some people came up with some companies, ways to make a living, and some people ended up changing the politics in their country. And of course, when I say thanks to the internet, it's the means of communication. Most of the people who move on, move forward, they are on the same page. But as a people, we are all over the place. And once again, remember, you've heard me say it a few times, but I don't think people realize how severe that statement is. We have some African Americans with a particular belief system that state publicly that they celebrate the death of Africans. So we have some black people who celebrate the death of Africans just because of their belief system. Just like we had some black Muslims who went to war against fellow black people just because of their religion. For the sake of example, let's imagine that those African Americans who celebrate the death of of Africans, let me repeat, let's presume for the sake of example that the African Americans who celebrate the death of Africans end up having some power slash control over some territory where you have Africans. What could happen? Would it look like what happened in Rwanda between the Tutsis and the Hutus? Piccolo wrote, if the ways of Ma'at are understood, standing up to pump one's ego will not happen because it goes against the Ma'at. Well, I don't even see how somebody will simulate standing up and defending the culture with pumping one's ego. I will think rather that if someone wants to pump his ego, then he would just stand up and, uh, either talk about himself or his accomplishment or present his information. But when I say standing up, I mean when people when people disrespect the traditional African ways of life or one of the tradition that those people claim to have, because we have a few different traditions. And out of the believers of the Abrahamic religions, it's mainly the people who are non-Abrahamic that don't stand up and defend their traditions. If you say something about uh, either Christianity or the Christians, you will have some that will, stand up and address the matter, defending against what harm, defending against disrespect. It's natural. So sometimes we have to come to conclusions, and we can see that with the different traditional African ways of life, we have some people who proclaim to follow them. But when we dig, we see just people mainly carrying some names. We don't have any indication. We don't have any indication of them practicing anything. And when he's being slandered, disrespected, laughed at, we don't see people standing up. So it looks like it's a facade. Piccolo wrote that words don't hurt, only actions do. Well, a lot of people are hurt by words. Words can hurt, actually. Words can be hurtful. Not everybody has the same sensibility. And besides, whether it hurts or not, if I come out and I just call you names and I say whatever you're talking about is BS, don't listen to you, I'm deterring people from um, getting to know what you have to present. And if I do that because I sincerely believe that your information is inaccurate, that's one thing. But most Abrahamic believers do that just because they only accept the Abrahamic belief system as valid, as acceptable. The other traditions, they don't consider them to be acceptable as much as they claim to be open minded and tolerant. Piccolo wrote that is because they are weaker and need training of the mind. Okay. So, Piccolo, are you of the opinion that when people just, will use profanity towards the traditional African ways of life, they say, F the Ifa tradition, F Kemet, F the Medu Netra, are you of the opinion that we should just, feel like, whatever, it doesn't phase me, it doesn't matter, it's okay? Are you of this opinion? Because that sounds like turning the other cheek mentality, even though it's not physical indeed. I don't think it's a good way to go about it. I think people should stand up to defend what they believe in, to defend what they are practicing. Is the way of Asar. Hmm. So I would like to insist, Piccolo, how do you call your way of life? Would I be correct if I say metaphysics? Should I say Kemetic way of life? You mentioned Asar, so it could be safe to say that you are following, if not practicing, the Kemetic way of life. The one who unites all. Would you attack a baby if it is crying? I don't understand this analogy. If a baby is crying, it's not disrespecting your way of life. I might not get an answer out of you. It's okay. But whatever you call your way of life or tradition, somebody says F it, F your tradition. You're not phased by that. You just don't care. You're not gonna say anything, right? Just waiting for an answer. But it's funny because Piccolo son is not the only one. I've seen over the years that we have so many people who follow these traditional African traditions, and they'll always have eventually some sayings, some proverbs to give some rationale about why you should remain passive and take the disrespect. You know, something close to the "we shall overcome" mentality. But everybody else on the planet Earth will stand up for what they believe in. So basically, when people disrespect the traditional African ways of life, and we're supposed to just chill and Netflix. When people rape women or children, kill, steal, lie, shouldn't say anything, otherwise it's crabs in the barrel. Otherwise, the white men will look at us and laugh. We don't have a mentality of let's distance ourselves from the foul ones, from the rapists, from the pedophile. We don't have that mentality. Our mentality is let's all get together. You do law, you do physics, you do metaphysics, you do languages, you do history, you do raping, you do killing, you do lying, you do stealing, you do scamming. We all in this together. It's not that appealing to me. How do we call that? Pan Africanism? Brotherhood? How do we call that? If we look at other groups of people, they are not that all inclusive. Like when it comes to pedophilia, for example, I was surprised a while back when I read what you had to say about the pedophiles. But before I paraphrase, I will let you address it if you want to. But at some point, we need to learn how to draw the line. At some point, we need to say, okay, that's enough. That's too much. We should have limits. We should have standards. Otherwise, anything goes. Otherwise, it's the wild, wild west. There is no order. And we will not move forward and progress with disorder. With a disorderly methodology or mentality, we will not progress. Now, those people who engage in its effect or wrongdoings, it is beneficial if the so-called Pan-Africans have that mentality because no matter what they do, they are accepted. They are part of the crew, part of the team. So you have the honest ones that work hard, and then you have the foul ones that take advantage of the honest one, and it's all one big happy family. Even with families, blood relatives, when people are too much into some foul stuff, a lot of families know how to cut ties. Like, no, I don't want to deal with that. And then, I want to chill. I want to chill. I want to chill. It's free talk, free discussion. I wish there would be a bit more participation. Because I like to have people's insight. But for those who've been watching my live streams on a regular basis, when I address the rapist and the pedophile, there's not much condemnation. So to condemn the people who disrespect the traditional African ways of life, people are shy. But even to condemn rapists and pedophile, it seems that people are shy as well. So which demographic am I dealing with? You know what I'm saying? What are the boundaries? How far does it go? I already had examples, and I don't want to say any names of people making excuses for, murder, torture, possible rape. I had people make excuses for that publicly, live on air. So you can only imagine what they would say when it's not publicly, when it's not live on the air. Is it out of desperation? Are we so desperate to have as many people on our side that we would just accept about anything on the planet Earth? Having morals, having standards doesn't mean being holier than thou. high and mighty or perfect. It just means that you have limits. There are some things you won't do. And how can you accept some things that happens to people and you will not you will not and it's things that you will not accept for your family members. The scribe wrote, "Would you even entertain the Why would you even entertain the discussion? Uh, be more specific, please." And by the way, the scribe, feel free to tell us where you are located. I don't know if you ever came on the panel before. I mean, on the panel during the live stream before. So if you don't want to say the town where you are located, if you are in the U.S., at least tell us the state. So what do you mean here? Can you please be more specific? It's funny though. You'll have some people who will not condemn rapists and pedophile, but they will condemn you because you don't share the same belief system as them. It's so funny. The scribe wrote, "What I mean is, it is clear that such perspectives of murder and rape are undeniably wrong. Why even engage them?" Well, once again, I'm going to be diplomatic. Don't want to say any names, but on this channel, people can just look at my live streams, and we have some people who publicly defended, you know, some brothers who committed murders, some people who committed torture and possibly rape. They defended them. They made excuses for them. And I know out of experience that that's not the only time it wasn't a one off. Happens with many people. So besides the pedophilia, the rape is some real serious thing, man. Because once again, for those who don't know, there is a Pan African. People just put out his criminal record, and there's multiple cases of rape. And you would not imagine the amount of people who defended him publicly on Facebook. And the way they were talking about rape, you'll think it's like, uh, somebody just stealing cookies or candies. They were like, "Oh, we all make mistakes. Who never made mistakes? Before Malcolm led the people, he was a hustler, a thief." They had the nerve to make the analogy, not to say the comparison with Malcolm. Malcolm didn't go around raping women. He engaged in illegal activity or crime or offenses, misdemeanors, but it wasn't rape. Where are where are the boundaries? Where are the limits? And you'll be surprised. Just try it. I'm not talking online, but some people that just give it a try out of curiosity. Some people really they are very nonchalant when it comes to it. Oh, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And it's sad because you realize, dang, I mean that dude, and no telling what he did back then. So I'm not going to say that they are trying to normalize it, but a lot of things in the so-called conscious community are being normalized. The whack or weak scholarship, being disingenuous, lying to the people, and some people have been scamming. It's been normalized. Now, some people, you see, some people are not scam. Like, I'm giving you this good or service in exchange for money, but using the cause to get some money and not delivering. And they've done that for years, not for months, for years. So everybody knows what's been going on. Does it take years for people to wake up and say, well, the guy's been collecting millions of dollars by now. He has not delivered. I'm going to pass. The scribe wrote, let's discuss commitment and meta nature instead, much more constructive content. Well, we can discuss anything you want, my brother, you know, but I took notes, not just today, but over the years. And when it comes to rape and pedophilia, there's not much condemnation. And I wonder why. But yeah, my brother, we can definitely talk about the meta nature. Feel free to tell me what you want to know about what you want to talk about. Are you studying the meta nature? Have you tried to study it? Who did you study it with? Which book did you use? ET, send E, in presuming that you are a brother. As a matter of fact, I love talking about the meta nature, but when I do, we don't have that many people in attendance. There's not many people really dealing with the meta nature. Most of the conscious community members, when they talk about the meta nature, they say, well, so white people who deciphered it, and it hasn't been deciphered anyway. I mean, the logic is just weird. It's just weird. I'm telling you. Hebrew is fine though. You know, the reconstruction from a language that was, barely in use, and the addition of all these Yiddish elements, that's cool though. That's legit. You can torture a black woman and you write a nice book and you will be praised, man. And then people are going to criticize you because you disagree with liars, plagiarizers, scammers, thieves. They're going to be mad at you, but the guy who tortures black women and who possibly rapes them, he's cool. That's one of the main thing that I dislike out of this so-called conscious community and this Pan-African world. We should have, standards. Once again, it's not about being perfect or holier than thou or high and mighty, but come on, where does it start? So describe, feel free if you want to talk about the meta nature. And brothers and sisters, really, we can talk about anything. I'm just going to what's going on in the chat. See these opportunities, not technical at all. And I must say that, I kind of lost the habit. Uh, but those who feel like supporting me, you do have the PayPal and the Cash App link in the description of this video. So, think about your brother because I've been doing this for well over 15 years, you see. And I would say I've been consistent. And if I'm not, then, anybody can come and holler. Now, we have Thought of Atlantis. Oh, this is our brother. Uh, the scribe, keep the comments going. I will read them after. But I believe this is our brother Piccolo son. I'm going to put you on the panel in a few seconds. Greetings, brother. Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
greetings.
Yes, feel free to speak, brother.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear. I'm just trying to make sure this is working right because I haven't set it up in a while.
Oh,
I must
everything's working
forgot that I had
right.
a little camera on the
We can see
top.
you. We can see you, and we can hear you well.
All right.
Feel free to speak, brother.
I actually don't even know where to start from. So go ahead and just continue, and
Okay, no
I
problem.
just
You can add on whenever you want, brother. So Thank you for calling in. So the scribe wrote that he self-taught through many books, mostly through daily application. We can say that he will consider me a brother in the context of not only the same species but also intellectually. All right. And he added, I have respect for your word. Thank you. And that's not for the scribe. That's for everybody. Get the knowledge, share the knowledge, apply the knowledge, support the knowledge. Okay. So, I'm not funded. I'm not sponsored. You know, I have already documented that, a few of those organizations that are there receive millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars, and other movements, are sitting on, millions, if not hundreds of thousands. And I don't have that kind of sponsorship. So, besides the Meadow Nature classes that I'm giving, and it's not so many people who learn the Meadow Nature, it's just a few really. The only time I get, the only way for me to get some support is via the donations. See, and sometimes I feel like people forget that there are expenses involved with the program I'm using for the live streaming. You know, you see many people using StreamYard, and on the top right corner of the screen, you have the StreamYard logo. They're using the free version of StreamYard. I don't use the free version. You see, we have the brother Chris Harris, MVP, Hotep to you, SNE. And the scribe wrote that his ultimate goal is to learn how they saw themselves through their words and eliminate the interpretation of others. And I feel the same way, and that's great. And that's great. It takes time, however, but slowly but surely, anybody can get as close as possible to their objective, as close to their objective as possible. You know.
So what does he mean when he said that? I'm just trying to go back to his comment.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
he's talking about when he says he wants to be able to understand them from how they saw themselves in the words.
Well, he's talking about the Medu Nature, so basically, he's talking about the inhabitants of Kemet.
Okay. Yeah, see, and I could say something on that. The actual words themselves are not going to really help you. What you need to actually understand is the pictures, because before language even started, they were communicating, and they communicate with intent. So if you're able to look at the pictures and then understand the context behind the pictures, you're actually going to get more information than what is actually written down. Because what is written down is not even in plain English. It's written in like a metaphor similar to what the Bible would be written in.
Well, I don't feel the same way because it's not necessarily metaphor. It's just a language that is known that a lot of people have studied for about 200 years. It's a bit like me saying, okay, you don't need to read what's in books. You just need to look at the pictures. They just wrote, they described, they talked about their lives, talked about the life of the king, about society in general, and of course about religion. So it is definitely a language.
No, well, when I say it's written like in a hyperbole, where like I'll give you an example in English. Um, you know, the weather is wetter than the slide. But they're not talking in plain English where it's out straight. They're actually using a lot of metaphors in the way how they're writing. It's
But
just
how
like,
do you know? How do you
what's
know
that?
they use a lot of metaphors?
Because I understand the meta nature and the real thing behind it. This is why I was trying to explain to you before when I booked that class. I just said, but it just went over your head pretty much. See, all of
So
this,
you
all
you
this,
you you saying you can read the Meta Nature?
I could read the intent behind the actual images, which is what is written down, because I've
But
seen it translated already.
but well, if you see it translated, you don't need to read it. As long as you trust the translation. But um, what you're talking about is interpretation out of the image. That's called an interpretation. But the
I know, but
writing itself.
the context is what makes it a communication, though. See, the communication is actually understand the principles of Mayat. When you understand the principles of Mayat and the different laws of creation, that is the context for what you're actually reading in the picture. So it can only be interpreted one way. It's actually even deeper than that. There's many interpretations based on the different fractal levels of creation. So because everything is fractal, that same one thing could be telling you about the body. You read it and you're reading about the body, and because the body is just like the mind, you read it again and then you see the information there for the mind. But and all the different realms. But this is stuff that you have to actually get into and understand.
Hmm. Can you please tell me what you understand from this line here? Which words you are familiar with?
I don't understand nothing from here. I only see Tahuti right here.
Mm. Well,
See,
it's not actually. It's not Tahuti.
right, this bird here on the end.
Yeah, that's not Tahuti. That's actually the word ak. And here we have the phonetic equivalent for the kh, or some people pronounce it
Right.
like a k because that's the sound we have in English. Are you familiar with the next word here? This one here is a word here. Do you know what that word here?
No,
Besides the
I don't know the actual words themselves. I know the images.
okay, but here now you see one, two, three. Those three glyphs here. Do you know what it is?
What's that?
No, I'm asking you. Do you know?
No, I tell you, I don't know the words themselves. I only know
Yeah.
the images.
So that's interpretation. But here this word here is ra. You see, and that's a determinative for the deity because it's a seated person with a beard. This word here is iker, which is translated as excellent or skilled. You see, but obviously you're making interpretations. I understand, but you cannot say that you know the language. It's not like like an attack towards you. But we have to be careful with what we're saying.
No, I tell you that I understand everything that is written on the walls. That's what I tell you.
Well, you make interpretation of what's written. Basically, the image, like the pictures, the drawings, but the language itself. You're not familiar with the language.
Yeah, there's multiple ways of the language as well. You have the
Well,
languages that's spelt out in the different words because the words mean two different things. One taken from um, northern Egypt and the other taken from southern Egypt. Between the two united. That's how the language was made. So you can read the language multiple ways. You're reading it one which is phonetically, which you're making words out of the images and the representation of the you're adding the syllables. But even that in itself is something that you have to understand on a deeper level on how the words are actually constructed.
no, j'ai pas fini. Sorry about this. Sorry about this, brother. Okay, well, I sometimes we have some text, you have some stealers. I mean, sometimes we don't have much uh, images. Sometimes we will have mainly text. So you're left with the language itself. And I don't see why we'll say all those things about the meta nature, but not about the English. Or hold on. We have the scribe who's there, and I'm just going to add him on the panel um, in a few seconds. We didn't see you, the scribe. Thanks for calling in. Feel free
How
to
you
speak.
doing?
I'm chilling. Feel free to speak.
I've been listening to your discussion, and I side with both of you. I think both of you guys have aspects of what's right. I hear what he's saying about the pictographic value of the language, and I hear what you're saying about the phonetics of it. It's a language, but there's a reason why they chose those images to represent those sounds. And there's a reason why they associated those sounds with those concepts. And those reasons are natural, they're nature.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to my comments, but I think the best example is the word ankh. It's represented with a placenta and a water ripple. What better represents life than water and a placenta? There's that level of symbology to every word they used. It's not just a phonetic principle,
Yeah,
it's a
it goes
spiritual and
deep, man.
natural. It's
It,
deep,
it
it's
go,
really
yeah,
deep.
yeah, but it's deep to where it becomes magical. Because this is why I actually follow this channel, because this brother right here understands. He's been studying the actual phonetic side of it. See,
Hmm.
but what happens is that once he's able to translate his perspective into the global perspective, then he could just transfer. Once he gives me the global perspective of what he knows, the information that he knows gets transferred into me like magic. This is how this whole thing works. But it's about understanding the perspectives.
And it's about
And
understanding their perspective, not ours.
no,
I want to make
no,
that clear.
everyone's perspective, because the way how you
Theirs.
see it. No, but you have to understand where their perspective comes from. It's everyone's perspective. Because the reason how I know this is because before I even knew about this Egypt stuff, I was actually into nature. I was reading nature.
Hmm.
See, and then somebody told me that the stuff that I was telling them was already documented in Africa. And they told me go look up the what was it, the tree of life or something like that. And then once I saw and researched that stuff, I saw I could read that just like nature, because the same stuff that they're talking about is in nature as well, every bit of it. And actually, to get the proper understanding of all of it, you actually have to tie it back to nature, because what happens is that representation, that connection that you make to nature from the language around the area in nature that you made the connection is going to be the rest of the story. See what I'm
It's
saying?
gonna exactly. That for me, when you can't understand something about the language or the culture, your best reference is their nature.
Yeah.
Um, I
No,
look
no,
at
I'm
like
not
the
not
argument
their nature, nature itself.
there. I mean, but nature varies, and theirs was specific. And in fact, it was diverse, and specifically of two lands. The North and the South were distinctly different, and they represented that through their natural understanding and culture and religion. So there is a
Yes.
difference, okay?
But you have to understand cycles. That was a different cycle back then. See what I'm saying? And the way how they read it, they understand cycles, and they understand that it's going to be a different cycle when somebody's reading it right now.
It's less cyclical and more of a dichotomy. There was a yin and a yang to everything. For every good, there was a bad. For every one way, there was the opposite. There was always the dichotomy to everything that they believed and spoke. There was, like they never showed one side of the coin. It was always both,
Yeah.
and everything always had an alternative side. There was a dichotomy to everything, and you could look at it as time or eternity, whatever they experience. They differentiated time in both a physical and a natural sense. Like their understanding is just it's just not the same as how we understand reality.
Yeah, because humanity is still in its infancy stage, and I managed to figure out how to get humanity to actually move up a level. You see that stuff that you're smoking? If you smoke that and then go for a barefoot run, you might start to understand things from a different, because you have to understand what happens is that your feet pain is actually an indication of your how can I say, it's an indication. Think of when you think of pain, think of like an equalizer. You know the lights on the equalizer where they go
Hmm.
into the green and they go into red and whatnot. So
Right?
pain is a message trying to be communicated to you that you can't understand because you're going up in the red. See what I'm saying? If the
Hmm.
equalizer stays in the green, then you're able to understand the message. But
But it
everything
comes down to
everything
balance. It's about finding the balance between both. It's ma'at. Brother Hotep,
no,
I would love to get your opinions on what I have shared or discussed.
but not just that though. What I meant by the red now, because what happens is that As you go up in the red and stay in the red, your body adjusts to that pain to where it starts to be able to understand. And what happens is that you get a little bit more green. And then the message that you couldn't understand that was going into the red, your body adjusts and is allowing you to understand that message. That's what pain is.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
So if you run barefoot, you're going to get a greater understanding of the stuff that you already know, because what's going to happen is that pain is going to be breaking down what's in your mind, and then so that you can reestablish it.
All right, brother Hotep.
Yeah, just for the record, regarding one of the comment that was left, um, now the scribe you did write that the life is represented with a water ripple and a placenta, and then you added what better represents life. But those are the phonetic complements. As we know, the symbol for life is
Mm-hmm.
what we all know as the ankh. So that symbol itself uh, means life as we understand it. But
Okay.
then when you have the yeah.
What do you think the Ankh is? What is the Ankh?
Oh well, some people say it's like a sandal strap. Some
Right.
people
What do
say,
you believe it is? What is the Ankh to
oh,
you?
I don't really have a belief. I don't know for sure what the actual object is, but I know it means life. That's a symbol that they use for life.
I
Some
believe
people
I
will
know what
say,
it is.
yeah. Some people say it's a uterus.
No, it's not.
Uh, mm, so what
It's
do
a
you think
knot.
it is?
It's a knot. It's very clearly a knot.
A
If
knot.
you look at any detailed depiction of it, it has a central knot connecting each loop, and it's also divided at each end. It's not a cross. They're split down the lines. It's comparable to the tiet, which is also a knot. It's a loop. It's a cyclical representation of life and the universe and creation, which is why knots were so significant to them. Throughout their language and throughout their imagery, knots held power through the tiet or the ankh or whatever. It represented that thread of the cosmos that has been contorted and bound, but is ultimately cyclical. It's a knot, undeniably, but why it's up for interpretation.
Mm. Well, I'm trying to look for the actual word with the
I'm
phonetic
breaking up a little
complements.
bit, but I can get a word on that.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Can you hear me? Because it sounds
Yeah,
like I hear like okay.
we can hear you.
The Ankh is a statue of the fractal representation of a female. When you understand fractals and how fractals is where you see the same image over and over and over and over. If you study the female body long enough, you could see a repeating pattern. And the initial stage of that pattern is what the Ankh is. See what I'm saying? The Ankh is like for you to is an amateur way to control your abilities almost, because you need it's just like a totem. See what I'm saying? A totem is used for you to embody the animal that's in the totem by understanding its characteristics and envision its characteristics upon your body. But they need the actual object where you can just have the knowledge of the actual animal itself and consciously do what they're trying to do subconsciously with the totem. That's what the Ankh is for. When you learn to use your body, you learn to use your sexual energy, and to stimulate their sexual energy they're using that Ankh, which is well that's getting a little bit off topic, but yeah, that's what my perspective on what it is.
To build off him, it really, again, it's as pictographic as it is phonetic. They chose these symbols for a reason. It's a proto language. They had nothing to go off of but their experiences. And all they have to experience is nature. And they associated these sounds, these images with these concepts very, very purposefully. And you can see the pattern.
Yeah, but see, one thing to get noticed that you have to notice when you're studying that stuff, especially like the archaeology and stuff like that too. There's a period where the actual knowledge of what is in Kemet, it was lost, and it's not so recent like right now. But if you look and analyze what you see, you can see where some of the Egyptians, they didn't understand what they were doing. They didn't understand, and it's before the takeover of Egypt and all that stuff too. It's before all of that, because what happens is that this stuff was lost to humanity. See, and that's what this world here is for. This world has been chaotically forming to get that knowledge back. See what I'm saying? Because the knowledge was lost. In order to get it back, you have to invoke darkness on the world. And people who can resist that darkness, and they awaken light, which is just your mentality to be able to solve problems in a constructive way instead of a chaotic way. Because everything starts out chaotic, but to get progress, it has to become ordered.
Okay,
But
so I see you have the word Ankh up here. See,
yeah,
now from my perspective, that's not an Ankh. Like that's not an Ankh. If you look at reliefs of it, it's split down the length and the sides, and it also has a knot at the center. I think those are details that have been lost throughout history that basically explain exactly what it is. I,
well, I will have to look for a knock from some original artifact then.
if I could send it to you, I have images. I have tons of images that I could show you myself.
But yeah, yeah, feel free if you.
Actually, let me
I'm
hold on.
scrolling through the artifacts. Just that it might take a while
I'm gonna
before.
show you a perfect. I'm gonna send you a perfect example. There's one at the Met. It's a wall relief of Mantuhotep. It's a long lintel, and it's like my favorite example of an Ankh. I'm gonna try to pull it up for you.
It shouldn't be too long for me to find one. But actually, if I go to the other folder,
I
we
stress
have.
this differentiation because I think it's been completely lost in its modern understanding.
Oh, you. Oh no. Okay, what is it? Uh. Okay. Um. Maybe the previous folder will be able to find some. Because at the end.
I do, for the record. I don't know if you guys can still see me. I hope you can still hear me. I'm kind of looking through my
Yeah,
phone.
we can
So
hear you. Yes, we can hear
um,
you.
okay. I do run an Instagram where I do translate and work with the Medunetter and the culture and the language every day. I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Every day I pick one object and I try to translate every symbol I can off of it, try to understand its culture, its context, its period, its whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I have actually found an artifact with the Ankh, but for the record, here, obviously that's just the transcript, computerized transcript. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so that's the report of water. That's for the sound N, and then that's what is described as a placenta, sometimes or a sieve, but it's classified under the reference AA, the Gardner reference. So that's basically object that they don't really know. Like, they're not really sure
Right.
what represents. So that will be for the sound h, that many people
hmm
pronounce like a k, because once again the h, like the Arabic Khalid or the Spanish Jota or Hijo, Hija, it's not a sound that we have in English, so it's a bit difficult for some to pronounce. So um, now as for the artifact, I'm gonna put it up, but I would differ in opinion with what both of you said. I think it's way more literal than people would expect.
Hmm.
And I think people say that it has so much symbolism because they're just not familiar with the language, you know. But here,
I'm surprised by that interpretation.
Well, actually, I will show you in a minute why. But here we do have an ankh here for the record. Uh, right here.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and we actually have another one at the
Uh,
bottom.
yeah, I
We
can
have
get.
here. I mean, we have a few. You know.
Can I send images through the chat or anything or comments?
Well,
Tell you
if
what,
you share a link in the chat, it
yeah,
might
I'm
not
gonna
be
send you a link
clickable.
from my Instagram. Let's see.
Yeah, but when it comes to I'm gonna have to put up the other stuff.
All right, let me ask you this, if I may, just to kind of like to support my argument here.
Yes,
What about Nefer?
yes,
All right, so Nefer is the windpipe and the
and
lungs,
the
right?
lung. Yes, yeah.
Right. Okay. So why? Let's ask ourselves. Let's entertain my theory here. That why would any people choose the windpipe and the lungs to represent good or beautiful? If you ask me, it's because to take a breath, to breathe, right, through that central system is to find
Yeah,
balance or ma'at, which
contains the
ultimately
spirit.
allows you to do good, to find perfection and balance. Through breathing, you find perfection, you find good. And that's why they chose the symbol that represents breathing to represent good. Or why Hotep is an offering table and a loaf of bread, which is an offering, and a placemat or a seat or whatever you want. Ultimately, the symbols themselves represent offering. I mean, I could go on.
Well, on the breathing part, the if you notice when you're trying to calm yourself, or when you want to stop yourself from doing something bad, you would take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And this is actually what they meant by letting the spirit do work for you. Because what happens is that oxygen, it takes care of anything inside of you, like your pain and everything. If you take a deep breath and then push it out, it allows you to it eases your pain. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah,
But
breathing
this
is.
is
I
this
mean,
this
they say breathing is the ultimate like way of like finding peace and balance and all of that. Like, and that's the word. That's the concept they choose to illustrate breathing. Come on,
Yeah, because you're taking in the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the air itself.
it's life. To breathe is to live. I
Yeah.
just posted a link in the
this is
chat of my
this
image of
is
Ankh.
yeah. But this is mainly conjecture. Um, the you ask the question why an offering table or an altar. That's because initially you have an offering. You have an offering.
Mm-hmm.
You have the word hotepu, which means offerings. So you make an offering. The recipient of the offering is appeased or at peace, sorry, or satisfied. You see. So that's why, like when you have the name Amenhotep or Imenhotep, it
Mm-hmm.
is translated as Amen or Amun is satisfied. You
Yeah.
see. And there's another analogy that French speakers will understand more. But in English, you have the word embrace, and that would be this doing that. In
I,
French, we say embrasser. Now, initially, and we can tell because we have bras, which means arm, and it's the same word in singular or plural.
mm-hmm.
So initially,
Right.
embrasser
And
meant
that too.
that.
What do you do
But
when
hold
the
on, just
sun
want to
is
finish. Just want to
All right.
finish.
Sorry. Sorry. Go ahead.
But no, no problem. But now when we say embrasser, you'd say embrasser. Most people now they would think of kiss because that's what that's what it's used now. The vernacular has differed over time. But feel free with your
Hmm.
question.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no problem.
Um, First off, I appreciate the fact that you're from France because do you know that Paris is derived from ancient Egyptian?
Well,
Set.
I did say that on one rap song, but
Oh,
I
I
don't
was
think
not
it's
familiar, but
accurate. They're,
it's
they're
an
saying
interesting.
they're saying it comes from Per Isis, basically the house of
Right.
Isis, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's really accurate, but
It's an interesting idea.
mm.
Um, but I mean, you could. The list goes on with. I mean, down the line of all their symbols, there's a reason why they chose a outstretched hand to mean give. There's just down from the simplest of symbols to their most complex ideas, the imagery is as important. I mean, just the simple fact that there are determinatives would support that. The fact that there are symbols that don't have a phonetic value supports the pictographic function of the language.
Yeah,
The thing is that you have actually, like, for example, the word iker that we've seen earlier.
Mm-hmm.
uh you have the relief, you have the heel, and then you have the mouth. So basically the symbols that we have is that one here, which is a sound E. Then we have the here, which is a k, strong K, like the Arabic cough. And then we have the mouth, which is a sound R. So that spells iker, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when we have the word iker, we have the determinative. I forgot if it's Y1 or Y5, but basically the papyrus scroll.
Or of a man, because it was a
and
common
and
name as
it's
well.
and it's a, and it's a common determinative for abstract ideas, things that are not tangible, things that you cannot touch. So here that word is not something that you can break down. Okay, there's a relief and there's a heel, and then there's it's they're just phonetic values that actually
Mm-hmm.
spell out the word, just like our letters of the alphabet. You see, so that's one of the reasons why, as far as I'm concerned, it's way more literal than people would expect.
I disagree. All right. All right.
Because you
well,
Yesterday
see,
I
for
translated Menkare's throne name. What's Menkare's throne name?
I don't know.
Ka-ket. Okay, and
Hmm.
it's represented with the ka, outstretched arms, a bull, and the ket body symbol, right? What would you
Oh, okay,
translate
okay.
that as in English?
I'd rather see the artifact.
I
If I see
understand,
it, yeah,
but that's what I'm saying.
it'd
But
be, it'd
that's
be
my
easier
point.
for
You
me to
have
read
to
if I see
see
the
it.
artifact.
You have to see it. You can't just hear it. You
No,
have to
because
re-see
when
it.
I say, yeah, I want to read the glyphs.
That's the
That's
point. That's the
Yeah,
point. It's as pictographically important as it is
yeah.
phonetic. You can't
And
just hear it.
let me
yeah,
let
but
me let me share
yeah,
with
but
you.
hold
I can
on.
share with you.
I'm not talking about image. I'm talking about the glyphs themselves, which basically equates to our letters. I don't want to see an image and make an interpretation about an image. You know.
Okay, but all right, so they would have the same sound represented by different images, right? Just like we do. But there's a reason
Well,
why they
well,
would use that
well.
particular image for that. Like their ka is represented by multiple symbols, right? Depending on the use and the context, right?
My bad. Come again, please.
As like they would use different symbols to represent the same sound, right? Just like we do too. We would have like the same sounds can mean completely different words. They would do the same thing, but they chose specific images to represent the context of the use. When using the sound ka, they had different symbols or words to illustrate that, but in the context of the soul or the spirit, they had two arms up, rejoicing. Why?
Yeah, but I can tell you why we cannot make all this interpretation, because that falls under conjecture. For example, are you familiar with the word for work in Medu Neter?
I'm not.
It's kat, and it is written with the actual ka glyph. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so you will have. I'm sure you're familiar with the loaf of bread, which is the sound
Mm-hmm.
for t or t. So you do have the two arms raised up, basically the ka symbol, the biliteral, and you have the loaf of bread. So if someone will follow your logic, he will make some interpretation saying that
That
work
makes
has
sense
something
to
to.
me. That makes sense to me because to be stagnant, to not work is not to like be spiritually like beneficial, to contribute to find use and function is benefiting the soul. That's I get that.
Well, I can share with
But
you how to see it.
that's conjecture once again, because uh ka mainly is translated as spirit. Some people will translate it as soul. It can be a little bit interchangeable, the ka and the ba.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I understand.
mainly,
Yeah.
yeah, mainly
Your
they
your
translate it as
ka
spirit.
your ka is your conscious, the spirit for your conscious. Your ba is the spirit for your subconscious, which is your body. The body is conscious. The
But
concatenation of all the consciousness
Cat.
inside your body become your subconscious. Just like
but
how we're the subconscious for this planet.
the
Our
the, bi-
consciousness
the
together.
the body is mainly translated as soul, but the work doesn't have much to do. Work itself, like as in working, doesn't have much to do with with the spirit. You see, and I could give
But to
another
work was
example.
to live to them. This was an early civilization. Like they didn't. There was no idle time like we do today. They didn't
But
have time to do what we're doing right now. Work was life, and
you
life
know,
was everything.
why would you do that with the meta nature and not do that with the English words?
I
Because
do.
for well, but then again, you know what it would mean? It would mean that everybody will have their own interpretation of the words found in the English language. So then there's no structure, there's no rule, there's no grammar.
But you have to
Now,
maintain the consistency. There is a consistency to it.
The
well,
It is
context.
a form of grammar itself, and there
it's,
is a consistency to it.
it's consistent to you if, for example, you say that working has something to do with the spirit, but
We have
somebody else
four
might.
thousand years of examples to verify it.
But that's what you're saying. That's what you're
That,
saying.
but that's a
But
fact.
but
We have
but but
four thousand years of the
yeah,
language and its evolution and its context and its application. It's not.
yes.
The
This isn't
context
But
itself
theoretical.
is nature.
you have your own interpretation, just like others will have other interpretation. So we don't have any standard this way. Everybody can see things different ways. But we do have rules. We do have grammar. Like for example, the word that we call Aten,
Hmm.
it is spelled with the reed leaf,
Yep. E10.
with
It's
the
E10. The
exactly
sonnet.
E10. So
eh,
with the loaf of bread and the ripple of water. So somebody might come up and try to say, okay, it has something to do with the reed leaf, with the plant, it has something to do with bread, and it has something to do with water. What is just those three glyphs used to spell the name Eden, and then
That's
usually
just
people
one
have.
level of it. That's
No,
one
my
level of it.
brother, that's
Obviously,
one
there's the
layer.
phonetics to it, but there is that visual aspect to it.
Okay, so be my guest. Yeah,
I've
tell me, how do you break down the word Eden with the reed leaf, the loaf of bread, and the ripple of water?
I can
okay.
show you
Well,
how to see it.
for starters, the sun is obviously pretty clear, right? Like that's the determinative that verifies the context of the word. Okay. Okay. So what is Iten Aten? He is the hidden one. He is effectively he is chance. He is that cosmic spirit that influences all. He is the wind that blows through the reeds. He is the wind and that energy that ripples the water. He is the hidden one. He is that concept of just cosmic influence. He is God. And he manifests that through the sun. That is Iten, the hidden one.
No, that's one God. There are many layers. Just like there's fractal layers to the Mananacha itself. That is only about one God, because that God is inside of another God, which is the galaxy. And at the center of that galaxy, there's another sun. But
Okay,
the
but we're
galaxy,
talking about their interpretation of him, not the cosmic universe. We're talking about the
no,
hieroglyphic Egyptian.
that is their interpretation. That's why
But
that's why there's a trinity that forms another trinity that forms another trinity, because they're demonstrating to you the fractal nature.
Right, it's all aspects of one God. At the end of the day, there is one God to them, and they're all different aspects represented through the other deities,
yeah,
if that's what you're
Yes,
well,
suggesting.
yes, because everything is inside of one God, and that God disseminated itself to make creation, and it did it fractally. But
But
I
in the
could show you how
context of Aten, who was a
Mhm.
new kingdom, middle timeline deity, he is the accumulation of thousands of years of Egyptian mythology and is comprised into that one embodiment. In the context of Aten, he is that. He is the one true God. He is all of the aspects rehomogenized into that cosmic energy that influences the wind, the chance. He is he is the hidden one, and the hidden one influences all, be it the water, be it the land, whatever, be it the sun.
See, but
And
you're saying
it's
that stuff is only on Earth. There's the world, the reality is more than just what's on Earth. If you understand,
that's why the
that's why
sun
there's
is in
higher
his
levels.
name. That's why the sun is in his name. That's the cosmic aspect.
well, like Osam Ka wrote in the chat, you're probably talking about Amun or Imen. Imen is the hidden one, not Eten. But what you guys doing is conjecture and it's endless. You can make this interpretation with each and every word in the meta nature, just like you can do the same with each and every English word. However, when it comes to the English words, because it's the Latin or Roman script, people don't necessarily make interpretation. They don't necessarily know what those symbols represent, but we still use them
Hmm.
for that language that we all understand. The difference with the Meta Nature is that they mainly use fauna and flora and animals. You see, so basically elements that we see in nature,
in
and
nature.
really
Isn't that
when
what we're saying though? And to correct myself, I want to replace the context of the water ripple with the Sonnet board. It's the same point. Chance. Sonnet, when you play a
Yeah.
game, it's a matter of chance and
Mhm.
probability. It's luck or not. That's what Amun is. It's
that
either
No,
in
that's
it's
your
that,
not
favor
luck.
that
or
that
not.
that's an interpretation you're making. Like I don't really understand what you mean when you talk about the ripple of water and the Senate game, because the Senate game has the phonetic value man. It's the biliteral,
Right. So what I'm
and
saying is I'm correcting myself. The person in the comments said I was conflating Aten and Amun. So I'm correcting
yes,
myself.
yeah.
So it's not a water ripple, it's a Sonnet board, my mistake. And I'm simply to continue my point, the Sonnet board, Min, has that purpose in the name Amun to reflect that intrinsic chance of it all. He's the hidden one. He's probability. It's either right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no.
All right. Well, okay. Let me just put something. Now there's the typical hater that comes and talks a lot of smack, and I can tell it's the guy who said that Osama bin Laden was melanated. Now he wrote that first statement. Now he used the name Minister Farrakhan. Well, actually, he made a wordplay. He wrote Farrakhan, and he used a picture of Farrakhan, and he asked why is he dealing with that white dude. He doesn't like having real discussions. He can't hang. And he added, let me guess, the white boy is blacker than Osama bin Laden. Is that why this concerns him?
I
Now,
love this. I love this.
for the record, the people that we quote many times are scholars, and we have many white scholars. I don't see
Hmm.
why there's a rule that says that I cannot have a white person on the platform. And this person obviously is not a fan of Farrakhan because of the wordplay he made, but Farrakhan himself has made an interview with Alex Jones, who's not who's also like a outright or far right and so on, and there's a white pastor that he's been seen with, he went to his church. So uh, either people tell us what the rules are, and then there's
Hmm.
no double standard, but
If
I
I may
welcome it.
defend myself, and
I
can I
welcome
respond to him?
I welcome everybody on this platform. And the thing is that you see, this guy here, he's showing his face. He has that courage. But this guy here leaving this comment, he always comes up and creates or uses one of the plenty accounts that he has, and he makes some sideways comment, and that's about it. But he doesn't have the courage to come on the panel and state his piece. This guy is into some basically he considers that Osama bin Laden was melanated, you know, and that I mean, why would Osama bin Laden be melanated, but not the guy here that's on the platform? You know,
Can I? May I respond to his comments? Because I deal
yeah,
with this all the time.
feel free.
Um, this is the sort of Afrocentric, racist rhetoric I get all the time. Just
I,
given the nature of what.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's Afrocentric. This guy is an Asiatic black man. It's like he's the that
Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough,
he feels
fair
he's
enough.
indigenous to America. This kind of persuasion. But anyway,
Okay, but nonetheless, I hear what you're saying. But I deal with it all the time, given what I study and the location of it all, and obviously my lack of melanin. But the reality is that's irrelevant. I mean, I could get into the intricacies of my genetic background and explain to you how ethnically diverse I am, or I could give into you also the different cultures I've lived in and experienced, but that wouldn't make a difference. At the end of the day, we are all humans under one planet, under one rock. You can divide us
Yeah.
through borders or coastlines or whatever you want. I don't care. Or melanin. I don't care. At the end of the day, we are all one species, and anyone who feels differently is ignorant. Period.
That's pretty much what it is. But this is why I wanted to share with you how to awaken your third eye and actually understand the images that you're seeing. I managed to scientifically come up with a method to help you do that. And I shared it with
Well,
my brother here, who's the host, and
Well,
I'd like to take
I
2 minutes
implore
to
you
share
both
with
to check
you.
out my work. I posted a link in the comments.
but
Um,
I didn't see your links, yo. In
I posted one. Let me take a look. Let me double check.
Yeah.
I've tried reaching out to you on Instagram for a while now. Like I said, I respect your work. I've been a long time fan. I appreciate how you try to share the language and the understanding. Respectfully, I wish you rather not get distracted with the ignorance of others and focus on the real work. And that's how I engaged you in the first place. But
Hmm.
uh, let me see. Let me on the chat. Let me try again.
Yeah. Oh, we have Mark Money. It's been a long time, brother Mark Money. Uh, okay, well, it doesn't feel the same way. And here we
But
have
yeah, it's
someone.
just basic logic.
We, we, we
We're
have
all in one bubble that created us all out of the same stuff. How can we be different?
That's it.
well,
I know, but
there
you have
are
to study logic in order to see things that's so simple in front of your face. Or you can just let your emotional mind just take you, which is what everybody's doing. They don't stand back and understand the things that they're saying or understand the things that they're studying. They just take it as entertainment.
mm. And you're back, scribe.
There
Um,
we go. Sorry about
we have
that.
no problem. We have okay. I have to block the guy. He came back. Uh, Adolf X
It's
Mohammed.
hilarious.
Adolf X Mohammed. I thought I blocked that username, but maybe it's a different one. So I'm gonna remove that comment.
All right, links
Okay.
in the chat.
So it should appear. It's not appearing yet.
And to Minister Farrakhan, I can hang with any of y'all. Any of y'all want
Mm,
to challenge me, argue with me about anything about the language or about what it means to be melanated and the significance of it, I welcome your arguments because I fucking take you people down every day.
mm. But this guy is the same guy. A lot of time he says, he criticizes me for not being from America. He will use anything. So this time he used the fact that we have a non-black person on the panel, and I'm not shrimping, but I like to show to the audience every now and then, how trolls operate. So somebody else earlier wrote, been viewing debates if Israel comes from ISIS, Ra, and El, but they claim ISIS comes from Greek. But didn't Greeks learn from Kemet? Laughing my behind off, ISIS in Greek is Aset in Kemet, correct? Well, what we call ISIS in Greek and in English and even in French, though we pronounce it Isis in French, but it's spelled exactly the same, we will say indeed it's Aset in the Medunecher. That's correct. But then, if we follow the logic of people who make linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastics, then we will have Aset Ra'el. So it doesn't sound like Israel anymore, you see. So your comment alone help us to see how and why linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastic don't
Hmm.
fly at all. It's like wordplay, really. You know.
But that's really why it takes I mean, the more I learn and study and research and apply myself, the more I realize how wrong so many people are because at the end of the day, they have a thought and they think it's fact or truth without putting in the work or the research or like the true linguistical like you're saying follow the if you
Oh,
have an
oh, oh.
idea,
Wait,
follow
wait,
the
wait,
etymology,
wait,
don't
wait,
just
wait, wait.
assume.
Yeah, just hold on. You see, I guess right. It's always the same guy. You see, it's Alquan Hardcore who has a channel on YouTube. He's muted. That's why we don't hear him. It's the same guy who's trolling all the time, coming up to all those username, and it's been
I'm not a troll.
probably a good couple of
I like
years
having
now
good.
that he doesn't have the courage to show his face. Be a man, Hardcore. Be a man, Alquan. Be a man. You are welcome on this platform. Show us your face. Show us that you have accountability. Show us that you stand up for what you believe. That's all you need to do. And I'll be glad to
Well,
have discussion
I,
with you. What a coincidence that he happens to come in after we had the Adolf X Muhammad and the previous guy, Mr. Falcon or whatever. I mean, once again, brothers and sisters, beware of those people who are anonymous and unidentified. That's not how Malcolm and Martin and all the greats that we
Mm-hmm.
love and appreciate used to roll. People
Agree.
who are grown men, anonymous and unidentified, beware of them. Why would you follow people who are scared to show their face? What do they have to hide? But go ahead. That's just for the record.
I actually got to get going, but it's been great talking with you guys. I appreciate the conversation. I hope to engage with you in the future. Please check out
not
my
much
work.
of a conversation on my part.
But Scribe, your link still doesn't show in the chat.
Let me. I one more time. Let me take a look. Hmm. Yeah, I see it. Hmm. I mean, I see it. Let me try
Oh,
again.
you sent it. Okay, you sent it in. Oh no,
Do the
that's our fault. Well, for strange reason I don't see it. Can you send it to me? Can you see private chat on the right?
yeah.
Send it to me there, and I can put it in the chat.
All right. If
But
anything, I'll reach out to you. But definitely, I look forward to talking with you in the future.
what's the name of your account on
It is so it's on Instagram. It's the word the underscore scribe, but it has two S's. I implore anyone and everyone to check it out. I spend every day posting something. I basically try to transcribe everything I can on any artifact, give you the context to the best of my abilities, try to tell you who these people were, what their names were, what their families, what their titles, whatever I can deduce about these artifacts. And through the accumulation of doing this every year, these are the understandings I've come to, or doing this every day. Sorry.
If you want help, I could spend 2 minutes to help you.
oh, you guys will get along because you love the
Well,
That's
reach
interpretation
what I'm
and
out to
trying to
me
tell
on
you.
the
project.
page. Check it
Yeah.
out. Reach out to
But
me.
like I said, I'm not there to force anybody. I'm just trying to give my assistance. I'm trying to tell you that I understand something a little bit more deeper than what you know. And if you
I,
want
I
to give
and
me 2 minutes
I,
to explain to you,
That's why I
I
wanted
can
to
do
chime in
so.
because I understand exactly what you're talking about. I'm on the same wavelength. I get you. I hear you when you say that there's that level to it. I'm there, and I've worked with
No,
others
but what I'm
as
saying is that
well.
I could actually tell you how to get to that level. That's what I'm. It's different from understanding that
I hear you.
there
I
is that
appreciate
level.
you. Like I said, reach
All
out to
right.
the page. I'm gonna get in contact. Again, it's the underscore scribe with two S's on Instagram. Please check it out if you have the time. You might be interested. Brother Hotep, I'll reach out to you one way or the other. I hope to talk to you more. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for calling in. Stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. And Alquan is still there, and I don't know. Maybe he hopes that we'll put him on the panel, but I'm not gonna put you on the panel unless you show your face. It's the same thing. It's been going on for more than a year now. I mean, it's all good to say so many
Well,
stuff on
my
your
brother,
on
I'm
your.
gonna take my
Yeah.
leave because it doesn't look like
Okay.
I've been saying much.
Okay. Um. Yeah, it's been going on for more than a year. It's all good to talk and say all your stuff on YouTube, but then again, you don't have the courage to be identified. So you're not on that same level, in the same category. You are in a world of anonymous individual. You can't always come to the real world. You know what I'm saying? Because all those things you say, you don't own up to it. We don't know who you are. Some people know who you are indeed, but I don't know. The majority of the people don't know. So uh yeah, I see you send a private message, but I'm not gonna read it. No, I'm not interested. So as a matter of fact, boom, you're out of the studio. So you're not gonna send me more private messages. So yeah, brothers and sisters, be aware. Some people are really into metaphysics and they make a lot of interpretation, but the meta nature is just way more literal than people will expect. And a lot of times, people will look at indeed the pictures, the images, and they will say, okay, this is what it means, this is what it represents. But then again, amazingly, with the English letters, with the English language, people will not say, okay, if you have the word God, they will not say, well, the G has that shape, so it means that, and the O has that shape, so it means like a zero or the infinite. The zero is the biggest number, and the D has that shape. But we do that with the meta nature. Why? Because of the lack of knowledge of the language. So as people gain more knowledge about the grammar and the vocabulary, then it becomes more evident. It becomes more obvious. But then when you don't know much about something, then you will end up doing a lot of conjecture. You know, and that's what we see happening. A lot of times words quite a fair bit of time Middle nature words are written without the determinatives, you see. So but it's good to listen to different point of views. It's good to listen to we don't have to agree on everything. And this is something that I have to try to do, to listen to different worldviews, different opinions. Piccolo wrote they said the same thing about the Bible. Mark Money said he wanted all the smoke. And Piccolo wrote, when you see only your perspective, you will remain blind from the truth. I wouldn't say from the truth, but it's it's good to know, how people think or what other people think as well. But I can say it's safe to say that when it comes to the meta nature, I have a particular level, others have a greater level than mine. But once again, it is a field. Egyptology is a field that's been well studied for over 200 years. It's been 200 years that the glyphs have been deciphered, let's say, by Champollion. So a lot of scholars are very, very. Oh, see now the comment shows here. So this is the scribe. This is his uh did he say TikTok or Instagram? I think he said Instagram. His Instagram account. And there are plenty of people who are what we could call fluent in the meta nature. Oh, Piccolo Son wrote, "It is against Ma'at to charge for knowledge." Where does that come from? Where does that come from? I'm not aware of that. Like, where did you get that from? Where did you get that from? Was it Herodotus that I read who was talking about the what we could call the wages for the priests? I can put it up and see, but I think there's a part where he talks about that. Now, Herodotus, where is the book Herodotus? Oh no, it would be the histories maybe. Okay, I will go about it another way. I will go there. The Medo Nature is a language like other languages. There's grammar, there's vocabulary, and it's quite straightforward. The main difference is that it's not like so many language with the Latin script. Where's the one for Herodotus? Oh, there it is. Keep the comments going, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to see. So, the priests. See what comes up. Now, Piccolo answered, knowledge is the milk from the mother waiting for all the newborn blind cubs. So basically, there's no reference from Kemet uh, or elsewhere dealing with Kemet that says that it's against Ma'at to charge for knowledge. And sometimes, there are sometimes people who say, in the Bible it says this, in the Bible it says that, and it just actually doesn't. It's something they made up, you know. Um, Osarimka wrote, it's not against Ma'at to charge for knowledge. We have the sign from the Ami Unut school that charged 10. I can't remember the current name. And Piccolo wrote, selling knowledge is like bottling that milk and selling to your brothers and sisters that are still trying to find, I guess he meant to write find the mother breast. But that's your interpretation. That's the way you feel. I get it. I get it. But to say it's against Ma'at is something else. Um, let me see. There it is. I found it. So I'm gonna share the screen. So this is uh, from the book. Well, you know what? This is from Herodotus' Histories. Okay, and Herodotus' History is available. It's in the public domain. So I will show the passage in question, talking about. Um, there it is. And it's funny because I will start the paragraph from what I've shared on Twitter and also in the community on YouTube. So, oh, you know what? I will open it. I prefer if I open it here actually. So, series, and that will make this larger. Which page was it? Oh, okay. Now let me share the screen. Large enough? Yes. I'll make it slightly larger. How about now? Yeah, good. Okay, okay, we can read well enough like that. So this is Herodotus, his book Histories. Book 2 is about Egypt. As a people, the Egyptians are surpassingly religious. Now, first of all, that's all the people who like to say, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, you know what I'm saying? But that's Herodotus, so you can reject that if you want. All Egyptians, without exception, drink from bronze wine cup and rinse them clean day by day. The linen garments they wear are always newly washed. The, I'm sorry, the Egyptians are especially fastidious in this respect. They practice circumcision for the sake of the cleanliness. for the sake of cleanliness, honoring cleanliness above comeliness. The priests shave all their body hair every third day, lest any house or other foul insect breed on those who serve the gods. The priests wear linen garments and sandals made of papyrus. It is unlawful for them to wear dress or shoes of any other material. They bathe twice each day and twice each night in cold water. Their other rights are, in a word, numberless. They enjoy, however, a great many advantages. They do not consume or spend anything of their own. So, that alone, if they don't spend anything of their own, it means it's given to them. But let's continue. Their bread is baked from sacred grain, and each priest receives a generous daily allowance of beef and goose meat. The priests are also given wine, but are forbidden to eat fish. So I can stop there. Herodotus was there in 400 BC. So there's probably some text that's earlier than 400 BC, where we will know about what the priests were given. But we do have records of people who say what the kings have rewarded them. But anyway, so I've substantiated my stance with a world-renowned source, and everybody else is free to use some other source with opposite view or stance. Now, Piccolo Son wrote, "I am showing in nature." Then he added, "And what was in Kemet came from nature." Then he wrote, "What would you think?" I guess he meant to write, "If the mother would say, for you sending her milk, that is for all her children free of charge." You keep going with this analogy with the milk and the mother, but we know we are far from that. We're not talking about charging for milk, for breast milk, but you're just trying to defend your stance, and I understand that. Osayanka wrote, Ankh Shonk 9.18, do not dwell in a house in which you get no income. So, you know what I'm saying? Now, Piccolo wrote that he's talking about your body and the life forms consume and enter your kingdom. The scribe wrote, addressing Piccolo's son, it's against Mad to be an a-hole, but that doesn't stop you. I don't think he's directing that at Piccolo's son, but you know, Osayanka wrote, nope, it's talking about your pockets. Piccolo wrote, when you eat them, you make a contract to feed them while they, okay. Um, Osayanka is quoting another part of Ankh Shong. This time is 8.14. The previous one was 9.18. And it says, may your fate not be the fate of one who begs and is given. Yeah, I did not sure what utterance you're reading from. Is that Ptahhotep? I read Herodotus' histories, but I don't know if the question was directed to me or somebody else. But Piccolo's son is referring to the Book of Thought. And then there's another citation from Ankh Sheshong. This time is 8.18. Do not say, here is my brother's acre. Look to your own. Piccolo added, only thought can read it. If you want to learn to read it, you must awaken and become thought. Samka said, no, I'd rather take Ankh Sheshong, who was there, and Jehuti. Ankh Sheshong 8.23, the wealth of a wise man is his speech. Not defending anything, just giving you the perspective of nature. Well, perspective, opinion, interpretation is close. Citation is more direct. All right. So we've been live streaming for 2 hours. If you want the conversation to go on, then feel free. You have the chat. If some people want to get on the panel, then feel free. Brothers and sisters, the meta nature is not difficult to learn. If there is a difficulty, it's just being familiar with the glyphs, the equivalent of the alphabet, the uniliterals. There's also biliterals and triliterals, but anyway, um, I'll briefly explain why I feel like the meta nature is easier to learn than the Hebrew language, but I don't want to dwell into that. However, just give it a try. Just give it a try. See, and for those who don't know, I'm giving classes. I'm giving meta nature classes. So try at least one class. Why not? What do you have to lose? You know, if you don't want to learn with me, learn with somebody else. But it will be difficult to learn directly from books by yourself. You know, it will be quite difficult. You know, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I'm gonna play something and I'll be back. It's only gonna last 3 minutes.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair, because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you so busy frying it. That's why you so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion. Go ahead.
Greetings, brother Sam. How you doing?
Man, I'm a top son. How you doing?
Hotep Sen E. I'm doing fine. If
Dua, dua. Open up another aqua again off the Johnson. All the good stuff, man. I'm over here moving around and getting stuff ready. Man, that when I listen to my brother do that right there, man, it almost sounds like the Jehovah Witness doctrine. I'm like, what did you so
bro, hold on, bro. If you don't mind, is there any way you leave the camera on? I don't want people to say that I'm biased.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
I
walking
appreciate
to
that.
my,
But
my house,
yeah, which brother are you talking about? Piccolo or Scribe?
Farrakhan right there with
Oh,
that
about the
whole
speech. Oh, I mean, brother, this uh
that's his
uh
worst. And
that's
I've heard
yeah.
him drop some good stuff. That was his
Yeah,
worst.
I would say that's his worst. That's his worst. But like you expressing your disagreement, Reggie has, Garfield has, I have. So that's like I don't think there's 10 people out of the conscious community that have expressed their disagreement over these statements. You know what I'm saying? Now in comments, yes, but out of all the people who talk and stuff like that. So um if they don't express any disagreement, I guess they agree with that. But in this world, if you criticize, if you disagree, they call that hating. But yeah, I would say that's probably his worst diatribe ever.
Man. And I say for those of you who don't know, the Jehovah Witness doctrine is you turn white because you fought for Jesus' side, and you would turn black if you stayed neutral in the battle, meaning you were a coward, you didn't fight for the devil, you didn't fight for God, but you stayed neutral and you turned black. Um, and then he describes the original hair, which creates the other strands of hair, which creates the other people that are surrounding you, because we are a family in that fashion. He describes it as bad. And you want the hair on your eyebrow to match the hair on your head? No, I don't. I enjoy my kinky. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy happy to be nappy, as Tretch had put it. So, when you hear stuff like that, it's like, what the? It shows you what Abrahamic faith will do to your mindset. It'll make you hate yourself.
Mm. Yeah, self-hate. And actually, um to me, I've said it many times, this is self-hate teaching, definitely. And
And
and I'm not trying to defend the Jehovah's Witness, but in the Quran, there's a passage. I don't have it on top of my head, but if people want to charge me on that, I can pull it up. I might still have a video up there, but it says that like in the end of time or something to that effect, the people who believe their faces will be white, and the people who did not believe their faces will turn black. Now, some
yeah,
people might argue it doesn't have anything to do with the ethnicity or phenotype or skin color, because historically in those western language anyway, those western languages, um black was usually associated with bad stuff. So some people might say it's nothing to do with black people, but then we have other stuff, we have hadith and stuff like that. So um I'm just gonna grab the cable to plug my headset because the battery is about to die. So I'll be right back. But feel
oh,
free to
yeah.
speak, brother.
Yeah, it's bad because of a couple things, right? One, when you go into if you go into the Quran, in fact, if you go into the Hadith and you start to hear the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam talk, remember the black dog is a shaitan. The black slave he had was a ship, and he put a whole bunch of stuff on him to make him carry it in the hot sun. Everything black in Islam is a sin, or it's bad, or it's a jinn. If you go to Christianity, it's the same thing. the white face of Jesus, blah 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 blah, and the black such and such, and everything has to be white. And there's some verses in there that are just
And
outland.
you know what's funny? You talked about the white face of Jesus, but they love to quote some hadith. I don't remember if it's Sahih or not. I don't think it's in the Sahih hadith, but it might be. Um, there's some narration where he talks about seeing Musa, and I'm not sure if there's one where he talks about seeing Jesus, but the way Musa was described, you might have had the word asmar or some word that they try to translate as black or brown. But indeed, in the at least in Sahih Bukhari, we have mentioned where there was a lady with unkempt hair, and she was black, if I remember correctly, and it was a
Mhm.
sign for bad things to come. You know, uh, there's the mention of the guy who will destroy the Kaaba, a black man, you know, with I don't know if he said long legs or something like that, but they have a name for it. I think starts with a D, do schools. I don't know why. So the person that would destroy the Kaaba is he's basically a black man. Come
Everything is
again?
everything is black. I said he black. I was agreeing with you. Everything
Yeah,
is
mm,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
And he also said, for all those people who are Rastafari, and uh,
You're
for whom Ethiopia is like the best place, the only place that was never colonized. Haile Selassie, the Queen of England, bowed to him. In Sahih Bukhari, he says that Muhammad said that Ethiopians are the worst creatures in the face of Allah. You know what I'm saying? And that is because they venerate their ancestors. But that's just a few. And interestingly enough, in Sahih Bukhari, you might have that in other Sahih Hadith, but we have mentions of slaves of Muhammad, and we are told that they were black. So for all the people who claim that Muhammad was black and so was his companions and his family, why would they specify that such a person was black, that such slave was black?
Bilal throughout the whole thing. He saved this black slave. Bilal brought us freedom, and he's the first caller to the Azan. And now you want to try to venerate the token black character of the story. Stop it. It just, it's crazy. Everything in Islam that's black has an issue. It has an issue. Um, which is why we stress uh your African spiritualities as your code of ethics. Because if you go to, like I said, it'll have you hating yourself. You just heard Farrakhan up there. And your big broad noses and your lips is big and you're demonized because he equated that to sin because that's what that Quran did to you. That's what that Quran did to you. It demonized how you look. Even though the features, like my face in particular, the features are the initial features. These are the originals. The beauty in the originals. It's a preference. Do you like a wide nose? Do you like a long nose? Do you like, you know what I'm saying? And that's not a knock on the European because they're going to look different as well. Those are just your babies. But when you listen to the Abrahamic faith, you're going to demonize yourself. You're going to hate yourself. Cush is tore up through that whole book. Any children of Ham tore up through the whole Bible. Tore up and down. If you're not a child of Shem, and the children of Shem do some of the worst things in that book, but they get venerated for it.
Talking about curse of Ham slash curse of Canaan. Um, some people who study the text and the tradition, they argued that Noah was actually sodomized or castrated by his son. I mean, it's deeper than people would understand, you know, because in the Bible we have the brief passage, but then we have that passage that I have quoted many times. Now I did attempt to look at it from the Talmud. It appears that it is from, they have different things like Rabash, or I forgot how they call it, but some people have actually talked about that, but I have the article on my website anyway. So it's quite deep. It's quite deep. Hold on. If I put that, and there's a one about the woman that I have quoted earlier. When I say earlier, not today, but here I will share this.
Yeah, I haven't heard that he was castrated. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like here with the exegesis, the Jewish exegesis is more it's more graphic.
Yeah, I'm
but
like, yeah.
but here this is Sahih Bukhari, volume 2, book 18, number 161, narrated by Abdullah bin Abbas. The classification might differ depending on the publisher and so on. But it says the prophet replied, "I saw paradise and stretched my hands towards a bunch of his fruit and had taken it." Oh, hold on. No, no, it's not the one. My bad. It's not the one I want to share. Hold on.
Uh,
Uh,
as you pull it up, yeah.
there it is. That's the one there.
I know they attacked Jesus pretty bad in the Talmud.
Oh well, there's that big issue. That big issue. They don't have that belief of him
Yeah.
coming back like that. They're more dear towards Moses. But so here, Sahih Bukhari, volume 1, book 6, number 301, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Um, Once Allah's apostle went out to the Musalla to offer prayer, then he passed by the woman and said, "O woman, give alms, as I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were you, woman." They asked, "Why is it so, O Allah's apostle?" He replied, "You curse frequently and are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you. A cautious, sensible man could be led astray by some of you." The woman asked, "O Allah's apostle, what is deficient in our intelligence and religion?" He said, "Is not the evidence of two women equal to the witness of one man?" They replied in the affirmative. He said, "This is the deficiency in her intelligence. Isn't it true that a woman can neither pray nor fast during her menses?" The woman replied in the affirmative. He said, "This is the deficiency in her religion." And this is a translation by Dr. Mohammed Mushin Khan. So, Prophet Muhammad said that women are deficient in intelligence and in religion, because some people are like to try to quote some passages about Maryam and say how there's so much love and appreciation and respect for the woman, but still they are deficient in intelligence and in religion. And there's the well-known passage where he says, if you have a situation with your wife, rebuke her and whatever, and then don't sleep with her, and ultimately beat her. You know,
Yeah.
and some people have added in parentheses moderately.
Right, right. Don't hit her harder than a feather. One of the sheikhs told me when I got married to a Muslim woman a long time ago. And then they say that the woman is the biggest dweller in the hellfire.
But I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
You gotta
Yeah.
be careful with these faiths. They're deep. Like I said, I always used to say this. If you end up in an Abrahamic faith, you could end up a sleeper cell against your own people, depending on who you are. You could end up a sleeper cell so quick and you don't even know it because you're reading this because you've been taught since a child that this is the right way. You don't realize that if you were in a different country, you'd be taught something different. And because at the moment you have Christians in command over here, but on the other side of the world, you got Muslims in command. And at one point in time, before either one of these two were in command over the last, I'll say 500 to 700 years, it was the paganistic faith that was in command when you had the most peace. And so right now, Everyone is starting to wake up, obviously. Um, we're in a different cycle. And as you start to wake up, you start to notice and you start to teach, I'm not going for this, right? But the other thing is people are also acting unruly. They have no code of ethics, they have no rules. They act unhuman. You see this monkeypox spreading all over the place because you're so sexually oriented right now. You don't know what to do with yourself. You goose anything. You goose a pillow, goose a book. You're just happy about sex, about violence. You're quick to shoot anything because so many things are readily at your disposal, but you don't have the discipline to know how to operate them. And most of the people who have this at their disposal are of the Abrahamic faith. I'm telling you, slow down. You need ma'at, not just the 42. You need ma'at. That means you need to know what the says say so you can have ethics from your ancestors so you can conduct yourself appropriately in this day and age. It doesn't mean have a Neanderthal mindset or a prehistoric mindset, if you will. It means to bound yourself in ethics and code so you can be balanced in your living. And when you don't have this, you see how people are acting. This is stuff out of a comic book. You had somebody storm the White House who was a president. They just kicked his door in and raided it. That's Trump. He just had some stuff go down in England with Tone or with the other cat. He had to resign. You got stuff going down in Islamic countries on a regular basis. Europe is going crazy. You got Russia beefing with, you understand? You're too trigger happy. And the key to knowing the best understanding of Ma'at is reading the Medu Necha. Because if you read it in its original format, it's going to hit you differently because you'll know what it means. You'll know what it says. You'll be able to read the sentence and you'll understand your ancestors from their point of view.
Mm.
So when he tell you to take the class, it's not just to read a different language that you may never speak. It's so that you can understand the true ethics code that your ancestors had. Whether you're black, Arab, white, why? Because the blacks, the originals. The Persians, they came after. The Ptolemies, they was there too. The Arabs is over there trying to say it's them now. And they know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be mad at them if they was trying to claim to be that. You understand?
It's their
So
number one source of income. Tourism is the number one source of income for Egypt. So, and it's not just the tourism and the income they get from it. Well, the number one source of income, because I mean, I'm from Haiti. Haiti is known to be a poor country, so it's not. I'm not speaking in terms of competition. Haiti is much smaller and probably much poorer than Egypt. But Egypt is. I was shocked. You know, it's quite poor. You know, I mean, I went there around Cairo. I was surprised. I mean, Aswan. You know, in the south, people live. I would say I'm tempted to say that they live better. But when I went to Cairo and I've seen the status of the buildings, you know, and uh, um, all those people begging, you know, um, in the South, you have more children begging, and the adults will be selling stuff, you know. Now in Cairo, you see adults begging, and it's just funny. It's just different, you know. But in the South, they around Aswan, they will have stuff for sale, you know. But yeah, it is what it
Cairo
is.
openly, my partners own 2 or 3 shops right under the Heru Market, the Sphinx. Right over next to that Pizza Hut Taco Bell that's over there. And I think one of them owns that. So we go over there often. And then when you go through there, you have government officials who hide by the rocks that are next to the Merkuts, the pyramids, and they'll pop out from behind the rock and they'll ask your tour guide to give them some money so you can go forward. on the horse. Now my partners happened to help win the little skirmish recently, right? So my main partner, his name carries well. Like they say his name, they'll be like, "Oh, well, don't tell him I tried to do this to you." You
Mm.
know, I be like, so it's a whole experience in itself. But everybody is trying to get a buck. So camels are next to the pyramids. Um, they'll try to charge you to ride the camel for a little bit, which is fair, but just to walk through the site, you don't own that site. But here's a government official over here talking about no, pay so you can go further. I'm like, ain't nobody paying you nothing. And then
Yeah,
I tell him, Ahmed, I was like, do I need to hop off this horse? So I started. He was like, no, 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 brother, because I was about to get busy. He was about to get hood. I'm like,
I've seen a video. Uh, there's a guy. I mean, there's some videos. Some guys who show different countries and the different tricks, and the how tourists can be targeted with different tricks. And there's one person who shows in Egypt. Uh, like for example, when people want to show you, they tell you to have a look at something to hold it. But I've seen when I was there, I've seen some tourists, they had the stuff in their hand, and when they wanted to give it back, the person wouldn't take it, so basically they're kind of trying to force you to buy it. So he's warning against that. He says, don't touch anything if you're not ready to buy it. And he also spoke about those people who present themselves as official. There's not even officials, and they would try to get some money, for directing people or telling people that they need to pay to walk around the pyramids. And I remember there's that guy who had a camel, and I don't know if I still have the video on my channel, but I was filming around the pyramids and the camel was there. So I filmed the camel. Camel opened his mouth wide and all that. And the guy's like, yeah, I do it for the kids and stuff like that. And then he starts asking me for money. And I said, for what? He said, you took, and I remember obviously he's not fluent in English, but he could speak English. He says, you took picture of the camel. I filmed, I was filming. Come again, brother? Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. Your screen is frozen, and I don't hear you anymore. Feel free to come back. Because I heard you started to talk, and then I couldn't hear the rest. But I think the best thing to do, if you can hear me, is to just leave the panel and then come back, because like I said, you're frozen and we don't hear you. But yeah, he was basically trying to make me feel guilty and try to tell me that I should pay him because I filmed the camel. And I was like, man, please. So that was just funny. But yeah, I hope the brother will be able to come back. But indeed, yeah, I encourage people to learn the meta nature. I mean, we're playing games. We're quoting Check on Daddy Up, and we're quoting so many people. But what is our culture? What do we practice? The other people, they're really down with their belief system or their way of life, even if it's not necessarily a religion. But it's okay. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know most people, want to claim to be down, but they don't really want to be down. And it is what it is. It will take time. It's only a few, and I know, I'm speaking from experience. I mean, I don't want to put nobody on the spot, but there's many people who said that they will learn the Meta, and they've been saying that for a year, 2 year. Yeah, the brother is back. Yeah,
not
brother.
not two of me. I
Yeah.
can't went to get rid of it. Oh, here it goes right here.
Yeah. Okay. And if you don't mind, brother, if you can put the, I'm sorry to ask, but I'm
So
just trying to be fair with everybody. Yeah, thanks a lot, brother.
I'm
But
just
yeah,
trying to.
what were you saying, brother, just before it started freezing?
I was laughing because he tried to charge you to take pictures with the camel. He like, oh, you got the camel in there. So
Yeah.
that's how they do. And they're disappointed. Like they'll stay in the tomb and they won't let you in a certain area unless you pay them a little something.
Mm,
Unless if you get physical. Some of them have the guns. Some of them have. Most of them don't have the guns. But
mm,
sometimes you gotta get a little. You gotta get a little hood in order to get your way. Like money, you don't own this part of the city.
mm.
You know.
Yeah, I didn't get inside of the pyramid because there's just no writing, and I felt okay. I just didn't feel like going in. and I know there's some graffiti somewhere. You know, I've seen that in the documentary with Zahir Was, but overall there's no writing. And but I regret now. So next time I go, you know, I'll try to make sure that I go inside. But I did see, even in the Cairo Museum, I was surprised because you have some security around the Cairo Museum, and when you enter, there's all these plainclothes guy, you know, with kind of, you know, machine guns, and you know, I think I saw one with something that looked like a Uzi, and I was like,
Yep.
damn, you know. But one funny thing is that, you know, I don't know if he shows on the footage, but I was narrating, you know, like, um there's one guy who had a machine gun, and at the bottom it was broken where you have the ammos. So there was some sellotape. And I'm like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? It's just, can you imagine some sellotape, man? I've seen that in my own eyes. But yeah, you've seen quite a fair bit of machine gun, and you know, we used to see in the police with guns, but when you have guys, you know, with machine guns, you want to be careful because you never know. You know what I'm saying? You never know.
Yeah, and there's checkpoints all over. Um, Remember they just came out of war, and even before they went into the war, there was checkpoints in Egypt. That's just how they separate districts,
Mhm.
and keep certain Muslims from beefing with other Muslims.
Mhm.
So it's crazy in itself, right? So, um, you know, learn the ethics codes, because remember, most of them that are over there now, they're immigrants from Jordan. They had the war over in Jordan. They came over, they migrated. That part, because it's pretty much desert and not heavily inhabited when they came over there, they just it was easy for them to set up shop. No one was there anymore. Africans who used to run it migrated south and west because there's nothing there economically that unless there's just a few of you, like 20,000, where you're not taking up all the crops and somebody got to die of starvation. It's very difficult living until some of the modern methods started to come out. So, and then when they started to dam up the Happy River, or the Nile, if you will, then it starts to flood here. You start to get a little more crops here where you can, but yeah, it's not that type of party. Um, when you see me in Alexandria on my videos, you know, even back in the day, Alexander the Great and all of the Greek, he was over there. His castle is right on the edge. So, and when I say right on the edge, you can see me walk down, and you can see me walk right to the Happy River. Because if there was going to be a beef or a problem, he wanted to get out immediately. They're right on the edge of the Happy River. So I'm telling you, it's not it's not that type of party now that it's starting to become more of a desert land. So you can see why your brothers and sisters got out of there. So when you see people claiming, "Oh, we're the original," no, you're a migrant. We know about when you came over here, and it was very easy for you to just pick up where you wanted to because it was abandoned. There's no, you can't really have a big living over there because nothing grows like that over there. He told you, top dollar for them is tourism. If you don't come, they don't eat,
Mhm.
straight up and down. And they start to, and when you're there and you eating, you want to give, but you don't want to overgive. You want, hey, slow down, back up. I
You
said
know,
no.
you know,
You got,
I remember, as I moved from the south to the north, um, there was the guy who was like in charge of us, and he went with me. We stopped like at a gas station, or you know, and then later on he put me on a bus, you know. So I went to Cairo on a bus. But before that, before I got on the bus for Cairo, we stopped at the gas station, and I went to buy something. I can't remember. It's probably something to drink. I don't think it was something to eat. And um, when I gave the money, the guy wouldn't give me my change. But you know, I'm familiar with the money because you have the one, the two, 10, 20 and stuff like that. And he's looking at me and I'm looking at him and I'm smiling and I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for my change. And then at that moment, the guy was with me. He entered. He probably sensed that maybe something was wrong. And then the guy's like, give me my change immediately. But I'm like, even if the guy didn't come, you wouldn't have done me like that. I don't know if maybe he thought that because I'm black, I'm not literate, I don't really know the money. But I thought it was funny that the guy's just not staring at me and acting like he gave me the proper change. But that's just a small thing. It's not a big deal. I never really encountered any trouble when I went there, but it was all right. I didn't go to Alexandria though. I had that circuit, with a few sites. There's only so many places you can see, but from all the pictures that I've seen, it's a very nice looking city. I mean, there's so much to see, and they've built so many new museums. And they're really valid. So I have the list of the museums there, and I mean, it's something I love. But lately I'm not going to museums as I used to because people can see there's no support. Back then I used to get a lot of support, but it's okay. I'll do what I can whenever I can.
Well,
But
what we probably should do, we probably should set up a tour so we could take the people, and we'll just put stuff up on the tour. But we could probably shoot because I have access to all of Cairo, right? Anything Cairo to Alexandria, we can get buses. You'll be in BMWs going over there, all of that stuff. But when it comes to Aswan and what have you, and we got to catch that plane, or we can catch a boat down the Nile, that takes a little while. So let's sit down. We can come up with a nice tour, take the people. We could do 2 or 3 types of tours, you know, because when I take them, I'm going to show you some astronomy. I'm going to show you the original astronomers. We're going to go to certain temples. We're going to look. We're going to see. We'll probably get out at a time where we can see the sun come right over this particular object and be right in the center. So it'll be set at a certain date for that particular tour. And then we can also, if we can do 2 museum tours too, and a trip down the Nile and some other stuff. So we can really make some stuff happen for the people and not overcharge them, but give you a chance to come see Africa the way you should be able to see Africa. And you ain't got to spend, an astronomical penny about it.
yeah, like nearly 5,000.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's a good
crazy.
idea. I know. I mean, at this point right now, I'm not prepared to do that because
No,
I know that as it is now, if, even if everything was in order and ready, and I was like, okay, here it is. Me and my brother, we're organizing the tour. I know there'll be so few people. I mean, right now, I see the numbers when I'm live streaming. It's low. But eventually, as it grows, when you have numbers, you have so many possibilities. So many options. Like there's very simple things like if you have enough people, you can print T-shirts. Then you can print other attires, and that can generate wealth. And then you can do other things. I mean, there's things that's very cliche, but mugs. Many people drink tea or coffee, so they like the mugs. So you can have design. There's so many things that we can do, but if we don't have the appropriate numbers, then it will be in vain. Like so many times people tell me about, I mean, every now and then people tell me, oh, you should write a book and stuff like that. But I tell them I'm realistic. If I go make the effort and spend the money to release a book, I know that I will sell just a few copies. So it's not the time now, maybe later on. So, but that's a great idea. And if you ever happen to manifest that, feel free, to make the advertisement. Let me know so we can let the people know about it. To make sure that it is successful. Um, because you know the language and the culture, and that's a big difference because some people kind of know the language, others don't really know it, and it's not the whole thing, but it's essential. It is essential, you know.
absolutely. And to see your people, like when you go in there and like everybody has doubts, as soon as you go to the old kingdom part of the museum, you know exactly who you're looking at. It's not,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? When you go upstairs to the Ptolemaic area where they got all that on display, But then when it comes to the gold stuff in the 18th dynasty, they show you that part. They don't want to show you the faces, except for when you go in the mummy room and you see the dreads on, you know, Queen T and all what have you. But uh, when you go through that Old Kingdom area, which has some of the best pieces, you're gonna know exactly what's going on. You're gonna know when we take you upstairs where they have the dolls made out of, it looks like those wooden sticks that you would stick in ice cream, and they make the doll and it's a black girl with the one of their eyes is missing on the doll. It fell out, and then it's got dreads, and these are the dolls and stuff that they play with. Or when you see the priest wig and it's dreaded up, and there's a bunch of them and they all dreaded up, and it's made from real hair. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna understand when you see Lady Cam sit and the coffin sits down in the glass, and you see her, and then you see her servants around her. You're gonna know who you with. And then you're gonna come right over. You're gonna see the Persians. You're gonna see your Persian brothers. Then you're gonna come right over. You're gonna see your Ptolemaic brothers. But you're gonna know who built this from the ground up,
Yeah,
and you're gonna
yeah.
want to know how they thought, because how were you thinking to build some of the greatest structures on earth that is still standing? And they put that in the text. They said, how would they doubt it or attack it if they can see it's still standing? And they wrote that, I think, at the end of the BC times, and it's still standing to this day. I think it's like the last eighth wonder of the world, right? So we'll put together a tour.
Seventh wonder.
Hmm.
It's the oldest of the seven wonders of the world, and the only one remaining. And
Yeah,
that's why they came up with the new wonders of the world. You know?
right. Yours is still standing. Everybody else got
Yeah.
to come up with some new ones. So what I would tell you is we probably get together, probably me, you. Let me see what Smash is down to do, because me, you, Smash, and Saber Reggie. I don't know if Saber hates to fly. So me, you. Let me see what Smash. We might be able to pull Smash on one of them, and
You
then
know, I appreciate Reggie as a person, but he's on the fence. He's gonna diss Kemet for or Kemetic people for a whole week straight, and then he's gonna defend Kemet, and then he's gonna diss Kemet. Last time I spoke to him, he talked about bullshit spirituality, and every time he says stuff like that, I try to dialogue with him. I told him you wouldn't tell Brigadier Amen that she's practicing a bullshit spirituality, and then he likes to say, "But you don't know her. I know her. Don't talk about her." He always has something to say. So I mean, I like Reggie, but um,
but see, Saber
all
Reggie, he's you have to understand, he's got his own spirituality, and he's also, there's certain things in that community that have happened between them, some of the different people, so he feels a certain way. The other thing is he's against what spirituality he's seeing. So he's saying, in other words, they're not doing it right. The other thing is he's leaning towards atheism slightly, but
that I don't mind.
yeah, that's why I tell him, I'm like,
But
you
to
can say
blast
that,
Kemetic people all the time, I mean, as often as he does, that's my
right?
issue. You
Yeah,
know,
it looked weird. It looked, and I tell him, I'm like, why would you even attack that point? You may say, me and him, we believe differently, right? But just because you believe differently, why would you just defended Kemet? Don't come or turn around and attack the guys who, he basically says they're kooks, which I can, that's how you
he's,
feel, fine. But
he's saying they are what?
they're kooks. They're soothsayers. That's what he's trying to. That's his point when he's attacking them. He's like,
Yeah.
this soothsayer over here is not a priest. He doesn't. And then when they turn around, like I'll just be specific. When my brother Jabari can't decipher metal nature in our face and starts talking about symbols, and you're the high priest of your location, then that leaves a bad taste in the mouth, right?
I understand that very well, but to what it appears is obvious, and he said it. The main reason he's going at Jabari so much is because Jabari said about one point that his analysis was poor. So basically, if you celebrate the death of Africans, but you say, "I like your scholarship, Jabari," I'm sorry, brother Reggie, I like your scholarship, then then brother Reggie is going to be cool with you. You know, I mean, it's not the end of the world. He said your analysis was poor. You're banging on the door all the time, and indeed, it's true. Many times you don't say his name, but we know who you're talking about. And then he's saying comedic Christians. By the end of the day, I mean, we know what it is, but it to me personally, it's I I think age might play a factor, but he you have to be solid. And it's been going on for years. He will discomedic people. I'm telling you, like, he
Well,
will
he
do it
did it
for
with
one
currency.
week, for 2 days, and then some other people will discommit. He will kind of defend Kemet. It's like he doesn't know where he stands. And I mean, I understand somebody might not appreciate Kemet or not like Kemet, but to diss it, like lately he said bullshit spirituality, and before he said some other stuff. But it's like it's not consistent. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say.
Right, and I got you. That's what I'm saying. Spiritual wise, he's not on this. He's not on that same path. But concerning the information that we read, he's on that same path.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he just doesn't feel that it should be practiced. To me, you practice all this other stuff that's gotten you nowhere. Some point in time, when are you going to pick up your own stuff so that you can put it back to use and start making it work for you? Because the first thing you thought when you was a little kid, or at least I did when I first saw, I was looking, I'm like, yo, if this is God and this is, my mom remembers the day. She'd be like, remember when you told me, baby, that you go ahead and love Jesus because you don't want to get a hell? And I was like, yeah, but do you know why I said that? You know what I'm saying? You telling me this, you showing me this picture of this white dude. Um, he looked like a hippie. You keep trying to tell me this is God, and then everything I've read in this book tells me, there's a problem with Africa. There's a problem with blackness. You're a Hamite. You're this, that, the other. I asked, I said, who? So who are we? Are we Shem? Or we're Ham, right? My grandfather Fitzhugh, who passed away recently, who was a preacher. We owned the church in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I said, so who are we? Are we who? Well, we're Ham. I said, so what are we using this book for? See, you ask a lot of complications, a lot of complicated questions, and you know what I'm saying? And so at some point in time, you got to pick up your own so you can see what governs you. Because they claim you're bad, you're this, you're that. This, you see how they run their countries. You don't even want to go. You don't even want to leave America. You don't even want to leave America. Black
Mm.
folk be scared to leave America because you see how these other countries are ran. Most of those other countries are ran by Abrahamic faiths, and then you see the worst of it on TV through Africa because they try to make Africa look like it's just disjointed and wild.
Yeah.
But you see everybody going to Ghana trying to move there. You see Gambia popping off. You see, you know what I'm saying? And that let's go to Africa. Yeah, let's go to Africa. And when you go there, some of them try to move into Christian areas, or they come over there. No, see, brother, the Hebrew, and then you come with money. So of course the people going to say they're Hebrew when you giving them money. As soon as you leave, they back to what they do. They eat for again. And so you, at some point in time, like I said, you got to embrace your own. Go out there, embrace your own. Stop trying to, bring what you think civilization is. You sound like the colonizers who did it initially. Well, not initially, because we were the original colonizers when we colonized everybody else. The difference is we said you can love and have your own spirituality. You do what you want to do. That's what it teaches you in the codes and ethics. Knowing that ancient Egypt would occupy your land. We would go to war with you, kick your butt, say, hey, we need this amethyst, give it to us in supply, you're good to go. And if you get any other trouble, we'll send our soldiers to defend you. We're not occupying you. Believe what you want. Your God is our God. Good deal. Yeah, have a good day. Come right back home. They were scared to die in another country. They felt it wouldn't be right. They wouldn't die in, the fields of the Aru, if you will, so to speak. So get a hold of your own ethic codes, because I'm telling you, once you read your own ethic codes and you start to see where this other stuff comes from, you'll let it go. Most of y'all think you're gonna miss stuff like, uh-oh, my battery's gone. Imhotep, my
Okay,
battery
okay.
died. The
Feel free to
minute it's
come back
gone.
if you want to. And yeah, and I agree. Come back to your own. A lot of us say we have to go back to the roots, but I will have to continue to deal with this Abrahamic belief system, or at least the inhabitants of the areas where those theologies are said to derive from. Uh, when it comes to the text, when it comes to the history of it, of the religions, of course. Um, that's why I really like Bart Ehrman, but it's dealing mainly with the New Testament, and so in terms of records, what's available, and one of my favorite thing in terms of the actual artifacts from the museums, because there's so much more Asiatics that I can show, and at some point, a few people will remain, blind willingly or in denial, in other words. But some people eventually would be like, well, there was no doubt at all. Because like you have seen, when I start sharing two or three artifacts, some people are comfortable, rejecting it, saying we cannot really see any phenotype. But they are just way more than people would expect. So people want to look at them, you know? And you've heard also many times people claiming that they can demonstrate this and that and show this and that, but when we ask them to do so, then we don't see anything. So some of you might have come across that channel recently, but trust me, I have plenty of videos. This work has been done for a long time, and once again, I don't know it all. I try to stick to what I know, but overall, when it comes to uh, the so-called black Muslims, the so-called black Jew, Hebrews, Israelites, black Christians, they don't really try that much to say, okay, Jesus and his disciples were black. A few might say so, but the majority not really going like that. So I have covered it uh, quite a bit, to be honest, and I'm not the only one. But there is this platform now. You know, uh, I went through some trials and tribulations. My channels back then. Some people might not believe me, but I had way less subscribers, but the demographic was more geared towards this traditional African way of life and history in general. I have a lot of people now who are into the sports, the combat sport, Muay Thai, kickboxing, because I used to go and film a lot of fights, a lot of tournaments, and I was practicing also these martial arts. But back then when I would upload a video, within minutes it would have you know, a few hundreds of views, but that was then. It is what it is now. The information is there, and I really wish that more people would deal with the information, would deal with the meta nature, would deal with what is attested. Because we have so much that is attested. I wish that we will have more solid people who will not feel like they have to chill or slow down because some people say, "Oh, those guys are Egyptomaniacs." I mean, eventually I will come with so many quotes about what was done first in Kemet, and I might, put the title, put in parentheses, is such and such Egyptomaniacs, is such scholar. Like I did with I didn't put Egyptomaniacs, but Herodotus. I've put was he Afrocentric? You know what I'm saying? And for the most part, people who dislike Kemet and Kemetic people is because they are Abrahamic. Some are not really Abrahamic, but they're just not feeling it for whatever reason. But whoever claims to be Kemetic, we have to boss up. We have to go for it. You know, And it's worse than those people who are Abrahamic and that are dissing or disrespecting Kemet. I know quite I know many people who used to be Kemetic, die-hard Kemetics, but they are not solid and they moved with the wind. They followed the trend, the fashion. They ended up dissing Kemetic people. It's just crazy. I'm telling you, man. So it's been 3 hours now. I see that we have Mr. Sharp in the place to be. He wrote, "Dang, I always catch the stream at the end." Well, it's not the end, you know. If you want to come on the panel, then feel free. For those who don't know, I've shared the link to get on the panel. It's at the top right corner on the chat. You know, it is pinned, so it remains at the top. You know, um, we have also Pan African Designs and Apparel. He wrote regarding Brother Reggie that it's personal and has nothing to do with what Jabari is trying to do. I think that, you know, regardless of the knowledge of the meta nature, you know, I'd rather see, you know, those shrines, you know. Um, I think it's a good thing. It's just that we have to be careful, you know, with the like with the two people earlier, you know, the interpretation and the conjectures. That's very easy to do. So yes, it is obvious, you know, that the priest doesn't know the meta nature too well, but you know, that's it. Okay, we get it. You know, the hate, the criticism, the dislike that he gets is unwarranted. He doesn't deserve that. But there's jealousy and there's also personal issues that plays, you know. But you know, when you're at the top, you know, you have more people try to bring you down. It is what it is, you know. And people will not bring up that much the aspect of competition, you know, and jealousy. Who's gonna say I'm jealous? I hate on you. I hate on him. Here it is, our brother, Mr. Sharp. It's been a long time, brother. I see you've cut your hair. How
What's up?
you doing, brother?
How you doing, man? It's always great chopping it up with you, man.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks for calling in, brother.
oh, let me turn up this real quick. Uh, I can barely hear you. All right. I just wanted to ask a question, man. Like, so what you? I've been getting more into the Can you hear me?
Yes, of course, loud and clear. I can hear
Cool.
you loud and clear.
I've been getting more into a lot into the what you call it, Odulani religion of Nigeria. Like
Hmm.
I think it's like the Alpha religion, in other words. And then there's a connection. There's this guy on YouTube. His name is African Intelligence, with a K. I think two Ks or something like that. And he was just drawing all these different correlations between that that religion and the Kemetic spirituality. And I just want to know what if you knew too much about it, and what do you think about, if do you think that could be possible, or what do you think about that?
Well, I'm not familiar with Odulani, but there is some correlations, some similarities between different traditional African ways of life and Kemet. You know, sometimes in terms of pantheon or, you know, rituals, practices. Uh, Generally, oh, bro, is it possible that you leave your cam on? I mean, if you have to do something quickly, I understand, but in overall,
Oh,
I'd appreciate, yeah, if you can leave the
yeah.
webcam on.
I just gotta get on my laptop.
Yeah, yeah, do your thing, do your thing when you're ready. And one thing that is very common all over Africa is the libation, for example. But what's more helpful is when people have the knowledge of the particular different traditional way of life or tradition, and therefore the language, then they can make they can go deeper with the comparisons, you know. But the Odulania, I'm not familiar with it, you know. But I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, at the end of the day, we can see when the people were used to be on the African continent and they were brought over to the Americas, we can see some practices, and mainly, it's described as, voodoo. Some people say hoodoo. So
Because
you
he
have
was
some terms, some words, that we
right,
can find that are the same, you
right.
know. But on the African continent, like the brother Salamka was saying, we have just so many who are Abrahamic. So we have that many people who's doing that kind of work, you know.
He
But
was
some are, yeah. Go ahead, brother.
he was going through the disambiguation of certain prefixes and suffixes of different words. For example, that actually came from like that originated in the Canaan, Canaan and the Egyptian, those areas, and he was just comparing them like to the Igbo language. Like there was one that was the one that jumps out to me is the L, that the L that particular um syllable L. He says that it's um connect like basically connected to God in all three different all three of the languages, in like I think in the Phoenician language it's all like L or all, and then I think he made some correlation with Egypt and also West Africa and also the Igbo language.
Hmm. Now, you said the name is African Intelligence, right?
Yes.
I've tried to look for it, but I don't find it. And you said there's two K's in African, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually copy the thing once I'm getting on my laptop right now.
All
I'm gonna
right.
copy. I'm
Yeah,
gonna put it in the chat
I
for you
would like
guys.
to have a look. I mean, it's commonly said that there's no L in the Middle Nature. The L will come later on with the Greeks and the Romans, and they
Right.
will use the lion, which initially was like the Ru sound or R sound. Um, but when I hear L, I'm worried. I'm thinking, will they say L like, what can be ill or L?
Right. The same
Ultimately, we
same
give
type of
us,
thing. Ill,
yeah,
L, all,
Ilo, Ila,
Illa,
and
Illo. That was the
eh,
what we were saying. Yep.
and I'm worried about that because that links it to the Abrahamic belief system, you know, uh, because
Well, he's a Odolani guy himself.
mm,
He's not Abrahamic, but he's just trying to say that it all originated from uh the Igbo. That's what he's saying, basically.
uh,
Which is, everybody
he,
gonna
he-
say the same thing. Like it's all religion, wherever things originate from, they all gonna say it's religion originated from. But he actually has a couple of points though.
mm, I see, because
Um,
I don't know how far the Igbo language goes back, but
he said
I'm,
that
I'm not
the
sure, I'm not
they
sure it
had
goes
they
as
had
far.
metal before. They had metallurgy before Stonehenge.
Well, Nigeria, I mean, they are known for,
Yeah.
iron and things like that. So um, who knows? I mean, we have to see what the data allows us to say, you know. Um, but I would like to know some Igbo also because it is said that some people from Haiti were actually,
Right.
Igbo. So I
Some
mean,
African some African American people too.
oh yeah, of course, yeah, that's for sure, that's for sure. Because for the people of Haiti, it is usually said that most of them come from the Republic of Benin or
Right.
Benin.
Right.
Uh, but some people feel like a few of them might have come from the Congo and from some parts of Nigeria as well. I mean, they will probably not necessarily bring a population for one place only. There will be exchanges, sales, and different routes. But the languages, the language that's one of the best testimony, one of the best indicator. So me speaking Haitian Creole, it will make the job quite easy. When once I take the time. Oh, so is that the name of the
Right.
channel? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on the
You
screen guard in the
you
on my laptop right now too.
Hugo e Ben Naja.
Yeah.
Hugo Ben.
He's got a lot of videos. Like he's an artist, I think. So he's got, but he seems to know a lot about. And there's also a guy called the Medicine Show that I follow on YouTube. I'm on his Patreon too. He's got a lot of research about that, the Igbo spirituality.
What's the other account you said?
The Medicine Show.
Medicine show.
Shell, like
Oh,
the
Shell.
seashell.
Shell. Okay.
Yeah.
Shell. The medicine shell. Uh, Igbo spirituality is simple. Okay. And the other one.
Those are the two guys I followed. The main two guys.
Okay, the true meaning of Osiris. Okay, I will have a look later on.
I'm gonna get into the. Okay.
Oh, there you are. So, can I move the other one? Yeah, thanks for using the
No problem.
webcam. Yeah, and yeah, I have a quick look about the those two accounts.
For sure.
Every now and then I come across some videos where they will have titles like that. The true meaning of the breakdown of certain such, and sometimes I see that the people are not familiar with the meta nature, and I find it strange that they try to break down some meta nature word, and a lot of time there will be some linguistic acrobatics or the gymnastics. But then I will see, I don't know, maybe the person knows the meta nature, but yeah, I see. But then again, the belief system you mentioned, I forgot the name. I'm really not familiar with it,
It's
so I cannot.
I think
Yeah,
it's called Alpha.
yeah, yeah. I'm really not familiar with it, so I cannot really speak on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really really complex, man. It's like but it's the same type of thing. Like they have the supreme being, which is uh was one being at first, and then they split into a mother and a father. You know, and it's kind of like the Big Bang Theory, their creation story. And the father's working on the universe, and then like the mother tries to come in and peek to see what's going on, and he just like once she opens the door, it just triggers an explosion that kills her, and and she ends up becoming the Earth. You know what I'm saying? In the universe. Um, the mother is part of the universe, and then the father is like the actual spark that in the mind that created everything. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the principles kind of align pretty well. It's kind of the same thing in the Kemetic spirituality, right?
You have a, I don't know if I should say a few, but I will say there's two main creation story. Uh, you have the Ennead or Pasajet, which starts with I forgot if you have some matter like noon before, but we have Tum or Tem or Atum,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have Geb, Nud, Shu, Tef, Nud, and
Right.
Usawa, Usir, Aset, Seteh or Set, and Nebet or Neftis as the Greek called her. And then you have the one where it started with Ra, who was by
Mm-hmm.
itself, and
Right.
he kind of brought himself into life or spoke himself into life or spat himself into life. Some
Mm-hmm.
people even say that he kind of masturbated. I'm not too familiar with that one, but I've heard about it many times. Um, there's the primordial water. I mean, I have it. Hold on, let me see. If I look Iliad, uh, yeah, no, it's not the one. So there is one, and maybe it's the one with Ra. Maybe it was in the noon, the primordial water.
Right.
But those are the two main ones that I know. I wouldn't be surprised if there are others. You know,
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are
Because
others.
they change relevance. Each of the entities, they change relevance depending on the time period when it comes to Kemetic spiritual. I know there's a lot of them. And I can't even. I actually want to dig deep. I haven't even got a chance to, but I want to dig deep into that one too. Um, but Yeah, it's just there's so much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. This quite a fair bit, and I find myself spending more time dispelling the myth and refuting the inaccuracies rather than just actually, learning and going through the text.
Right.
And people have to remember that I work full time. I do the
Yeah.
9 to 5. Uh, so it's just not easy.
Yeah. It's not easy for
Uh,
anybody.
it's there's other people. I mean, they're really getting the financial support so they can afford to present so much work and to go through some text. I mean, just the time to read. And I'm also a father as well.
Yeah.
But it seems like, at least from the pyramid text, Uziel will be the main deity. Sorry, uh, Ra at one point was the main deity, but
Right.
later on, Amun or Imen,
Hmm.
gained prominence, and they
Right.
ended up, combining the two. But then we had so many other deities, and we have, Ptah, Usil, Saker,
Nah.
basically Ptah, Osiris, Saker. So there's some instances when they combine different deities like that. So, in a sense, the pantheon is large,
Yeah.
but it's not something to worry about. It's just having the time to go to the text and getting to see what it actually says, because many times we're familiar with what was translated and the breakdowns from the Egyptologists. Many times the ancient Egyptologists, most people are, are familiar with Budge, which is outdated, but he had the time to go through those texts and spit his stuff. But it's always better when you know the language and you can go through the
Mhm.
text. I really like to know, okay, that comes from this text, at least even if I did not read the text myself, at least I can reference it comes from that text. So, I mean, for example, I have this book here. I wanted to buy that book like 10 years ago. And as time passed, I had other books on my list and stuff like that. But I finally have it. Teofilo Benga is a heavyweight, he's a giant. And he has some other books as well. I mean, on my desk right now, I have about 20 books. And
Wow.
and that's just on my desk.
I wish I could. I wish there was more. There were that many books written about the Olulani. Like I would have that, but it's.
Well, I mean, I started it. I haven't
Mm,
finished it yet, but there was an English translation to that book
mm.
by Teofilo Benga,
Okay.
and let me tell you the title.
I'm gonna write that.
Uh,
I'm gonna check it out.
Obenga, uh, Pharaoh, Pharaonic. So it's African philosophy, Pharaonic period,
Mm.
2780 to 330 BC. But then
That's what his
again,
name. That's what the name
uh,
of the book.
yeah, or if you just type it, like you go on Amazon, you put Obenga or Theophile Obenga, and you put African philosophy, and it will come up because the title is a bit long, you know.
Nice. I'm
Um,
definitely gonna check that out.
mm. uh, um, like I said, I started it, so I'm not really in a position to say, okay, it's a good read. It's probably going to be technical. He puts a lot of the meta nature, but I mean, I'm looking forward to see what's in it. But he's dealing directly with the text. He's familiar with the text. He's translating it, and I will see what's there to offer.
And where's he from?
He's
Obey.
from Congo. Now you
Okay.
have the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That's the large one, whose
Yeah.
capital is um, Kinshasa. And then you have the other Congo, whose capital is Brazzaville. So he is from that Congo, the small one, the smaller
Mm.
one, whose capital is Brazzaville. And so he speaks French. He has a native language. He probably speaks some other African languages, and he lived in America. He taught in America for a few years. I understand he's back. He returned to the Congo, and he's in charge of some university or something like that.
Right.
So he's been around. He's been around, and of course he studied in different European countries and stuff like that. So, but yeah, mainly he's from the Congo Brazza, like we say.
That's what's up. That's what's
Yeah.
up, man. Check it. I'm gonna check him out. For sure.
Yeah. He has a video. I think it's called Learning Medu Nature. So if you put Theophile Benga Learning Medu Nature, you will see it, and it's very nice. It has a strong accent though, and it can be a turn off for some people, you know.
Well,
But
I mean,
if people, you know, manage to get past that, I think it would be inspiring to them, you know, because I did watch the video years back, and then not long ago I watched it again, and I was about to just scroll through it, but I kind of watched most of it again. It was a pleasure, you know. It was
right.
really nice.
That's what's up, man.
And he goes through the text. He knows the text, you know.
Right.
Theophile Obenga, on his tomb, you have some Medunetra. I was told that Obenga is the one who actually, you know, wrote the actual text. But there's not many people who deal with Kemet and actually deal with the text. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
changing now. You know,
Right.
they're not very known, or they're not necessarily famous. But once again, he is a giant, and that's very interesting. And I hope, you know, Osam Kai, he knows the Mennonite well. Brother Reggie knows the Mennonite well. So, you know, when we have some text, we can go through it together. But that's just three brothers. And I'm not saying we are the only three on the planet Earth. I'm not saying that at all. But overall, if we just talk about the conscious community,
Mm.
there's not that many, you know, and
Yeah.
the conscious community has been there for quite some time, you
Yeah.
know. So we have some guys, you know, who give tours, who can met. I
Right.
mean, they will know how to read names.
Mm.
I never even seen them reading a sentence, you know.
Yeah.
So we can see where the knowledge is lacking and where there's a need for improvement, you know. Uh, but at this point in, you know, I'm satisfied with, you know, the situation now. There's a platform, people know where to holler. It's not a
I
large
think that
platform, but you know,
I think
but
YouTube. I think YouTube's blackballing you, man. Like,
well, you know, I'm glad you're saying that, because
yeah,
when you see the amount of subscribers that I have and the
yeah,
amount of views that I have, I'm thinking that, you know, I'm not gonna say that, you know, they're like, you know, trying to censor me or try to black, but there's probably some algorithm, and there's probably some videos that will be facilitated, you know, some videos that will end up popping up in suggestions more often, you know. But when I see the views that I have with the subscribers that I have, I'm like, you know, hey, you know, but it is what it is, you
yeah,
know, it is what it is. And I know there was a time when it wasn't like that. Like I said, some previous accounts that I had, I
yeah.
know
Oh
who
yeah.
made me, you know, I know who made me lose those accounts. You know, they were not white people. You know, they were they, they were my people. But it's the past. It is what it is. But
Mm,
hopefully, you know, more people will get to learn the meta nature, or at least take the classes, and then we can go through the text. You see, I don't know if you've seen, sometimes when I go through the text,
right.
I put the title like, you know, meta nature,
Right.
hieroglyphic language. When I go through the to the meta nature, there's barely anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's barely anybody. Nobody comes in, and I'm sad when it happens,
Yeah.
because we've been talking about Kemet for so long. What are we waiting for to deal
I
with the
know.
actual language?
Yeah. I feel you, man. Like if I had, bro, if I had the time, if I had the time, bro, I would definitely, I'd definitely be interested into it. You know, all
Mm.
the way for real, man.
It's once a week, you know.
But I think if y'all got if your channel got some more exposure, man, I'm telling you, you probably would have no problem getting people. Like who Reggie's the guy who I'm trying to think if I know him. Is he the one who talks about he has a channel about Christianity and
No, no, brother Reggie, he has a YouTube account, but he uses it only to participate in the chat. He doesn't have any videos on his
oh
YouTube account. But brother Reggie is a lot on Scientist channel. He's also on the Pseudo Killers channel, or was it the Black Atheist? You know, brother Onk, and sometimes he comes on my channel as well. So, you'll see him also on brother Garfield's channel. But usually he has a hat. You know, he's quite mature. He's like in his late 50s.
okay,
So you probably heard him. You probably heard
right.
him and seen him. Yeah.
And he basically says and what's the I guess difference between I mean the delineation in philosophies. The
Can you come again for me, please?
yeah. I said, what's the delineation in philosophies? Where's the difference? I guess.
Between Brother Reggie and the younger generation.
Yeah, that you guys were discussing before me.
Oh, Brother Reggie didn't come today on the platform.
Oh,
Yeah. So before I was talking with Osam Ka. Osam Ka is a brother who knows the Meta nature very well. He's actually writing a book, and he's been to Kemet probably more than once. So well, overall, we're just talking. He was first. He was kind of talking to our people, saying, you know, I don't want to say come out of the Abrahamic belief system, but look into your own. You know, look into your
right.
own. Come back to your own.
Hmm.
And but he did touch on some of the Abrahamic belief system stuff. The anti-blackness and things like that. But he was talking about the moral codes, the ethics that we found, in the Meta nature when we're talking about Ma'at and so on. So he was kind of encouraging people, to
Okay.
go back to our own, and he was telling people, take the classes, learn the Meta nature and so on. But that's just a brief summary. He went into details about what can happen when you go to Kemet, as a tourist and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard it's like yeah, I know. Man, that's crazy because you know, first of all, when you go to North Africa in general, as somebody like who's not from there and who's like of African descent, it just seems like there's like a lot of prejudice. And then I guess if you, I've heard good things about Egypt. I've heard, but then I've like I guess people over the internet, you can't really like trust the internet, but over the internet, people claim to be from Egypt, and then they talk so disrespectfully and stuff like that. But I've heard good things about it. People going there. I mean, I've never been there, but I've heard good things about it too. People go there, so
Well, overall, I would say that as a tourist, you're okay. It's just that some people will try to, get some money out of you somehow, some way. But they're very big on the safety of the tourists
okay.
because, once again, tourism is the number one source of income for Egypt. You know,
Oh yeah,
Now North Africa, the Maghreb, people who live in France, we know that very well. Many of them, many of the North Africans, and for those who don't know, they are pale skin or white skin.
I mean
Now you find, yeah,
they kind of brown, like they
a few will be brown. Like in
okay.
Morocco, you have a fair bit
Morocco,
who are
yeah,
brown. Yeah,
yeah,
but overall, North Africa, I mean,
and
they are
Libya, yeah,
definitely.
they are like very white, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
exactly. Yeah, and there's a lot of negrophobia. It's known. Like not long ago, there's a black guy who was in a relationship with a lady from Algeria. The brother of the lady stabbed the guy to the heart. And he's dead. He was 19 years old. Now we don't usually have killings like that in France, but Morocco is probably the worst. Morocco, for over the years, we've heard cases of black people being killed over there. But to be honest, the negrophobia that you find in North Africa, you will find it also in the countries of the Gulf, or Muslim slash Arabic Arab country, but let's say Muslim countries. It's common. It's kind of almost worldwide, and many black Muslims know that. Many of them speak on that. But when the Arabs or North Africans or Berbers are not there. When they are there, everything is all good. But it's
yeah,
something that we know very well. You're very aware of that, and it's so funny because you are brothers in the faith with them. But the minute you want to say, my brother, I love your sister, I would like to marry her, then you will
that,
see. You
and
know,
there's still slavery going on, trafficking too, in
uh,
those Arab countries.
yeah, there is slavery still going
Mhm.
on, and one thing that's very sad is like the
Fucked
Sudan,
up, man.
where it's like black people enslaving other black people, and they are black, but they consider themselves Arabs, So
Yeah,
it's
and then
it's it's very it's quite complex. The Abrahamic belief systems really shook the dynamics on the continent. Now in the West, we kind of live comfortably. We kind of have some freedom, at least freedom of speech. So besides the police brutality and what people call the systematic racism, we have information at our disposal, and we have means, to to thrive, business wise. But in other countries like that, so-called third world countries, uh, it's really difficult. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
So, but at least we have access to the information. So we can make a change. We could make a change, and we have to be organized and we have to be selective. You know. So I don't want to repeat what I've said about another brother earlier, but some people, to me, are not consistent. You know, and I've had some experience. Once again, I don't know if you heard me say that earlier, but I mingle with some people who used to be Kemetic, die-hard Kemetic people who used to say that those Abraham Good systems are not for us. We need to go back home, and they were die-hard Kemetic for years.
Hmm.
And then because they are not solid and they change when the wind, wherever the wind goes, whatever the fashion
Yeah.
or the trend is, they ended up actually dissing Kemetic people.
Uh, you know, when people say stuff like Hotep, I just own it. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, that's me. You know what I
Well,
mean?
luckily that has died down,
Yeah.
because at one point it was very big. And once again, I blame Tariq Nasheed for that because he's the main one I heard who used to say it. But
Yeah.
it's just a shame. And besides Kemetic people, once again, we have some Hebrews or lights who say on tape that they celebrate the death of Africans.
Who said that?
Well, you can ask ICUPK. If you meet an ICUPK member, just ask them, do you celebrate the death of Africans? I think I even came up with a video like that. It might be on my channel, but someone was saying, that's what they do, and I think it has something to do with the Passover. But if I put celebrate
That's
in,
crazy. Uh, just,
like
yeah.
for example, I don't know who said that. It's only 1 minute. Let's just listen together. Uh, let's listen together.
Last question, I'm gonna let you go.
Yes, sir.
What is this foolishness when some of these guys practice the Passover? Tazariak told me that we are celebrating the death of Africans. And I'm like, what is he talking about, man? The death of Africans. So when they have these Passovers, is the misteachings that these brothers be receiving. They say, well, it was the Africans who enslaved us in Kemet, and we had to fight our way up out of Kemet. And so this is why we celebrate the Passover. And I said, brother, are you celebrating the death of men, women, and children, brother? Of African babies? That's when he made the ignorant statement of, yes, I will not feed the African child.
Yeah. He's ready.
So that was just for the record. We didn't hear it directly from Tazariak, but it was Senator publicly, who stated that Tazariak told him that they are celebrating the death of Africans. And some people might have not seen that video, but what he's referring to is that there was a video where Tazariak was talking with like a boy that was maybe 10 to 12 years old. I don't think it was more than 14. And at one point the boy said that the young black guy said that he one of his parents is African, and that's when Tazariak said that he would not feed him because there was a cookout coming up, just because he's half African, one of his parents is African. And after that was said, Saneda said, Tazariak, you're my brother, but you're not going to be on my channel anymore. And like 1 week or 2 weeks later, he was back on the channel. So I'm not here to say who you should have on the platform and so on, but when you know that those people celebrate the death of Africans, how come they are on your channel all the time and you talk about black power and African consciousness? This just doesn't make no sense. It's not consistent, but that's the way I see it. I'm saying in this conscious communities everything goes. And what I was talking about earlier before people started getting on the platform is that we have some rapists and pedophiles and you barely hear them being criticized by Pan-Africans. you know
Mhm.
so anyway, I don't want
Yeah.
to talk too much about Pan-Africanism, but I kind of
It's.
stated my share in the
I
past.
mean, hey, I I believe in it because like I really want it to happen, but do I think we're there yet? Hell no. You know, we have a lot of work to do. So I mean, the form of Pan Africanism now that manifests itself is definitely not sufficient, man. I agree with you on that, man.
And even now you have the ideology, the religion, and we have the so-called scholarship. We have people lying, plagiarizing. They always get a pass.
Yeah.
There's no standards, there's no limit. you know so I don't know, man. And we have people like Sheikh Anta Diop, Theophile Benga, people who have passed away, people who are still alive. They're being disrespected. People say that they are wrong, that they didn't do the work, they didn't follow the right method. There's no respect for our scholars. It's just a shame. But it is what it is. It's not just negative stuff happening, but it's
Well,
just too much negative. Yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
brother.
and it's it's a product of the Eurocentric world that we live in because hey, listen, they they respect you know I guess our education system tells us like the worldwide education system, even higher education tells us like what it programs our brains, we, what we need to respect, what ideologies we need to respect, and who we need to respect. If and who we need to respect. Who's telling us about these things. The people that we
Yeah.
need to respect who tell us about the things. So
Yeah, they kind of
it takes a whole
not
shift of
necessarily
mindset.
detecting, but they will definitely push forwards those that we should listen to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The nice ones, the kind ones. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm pretty sure that when there's books talking about, what's the other? There's a book. I think it's called. Oh, I forgot. It's the title. It's like the Bible is Black History or something like that. I think when there's books like that, they don't mind too much. You know what I'm saying? Because it still ties people to the Abrahamic belief system.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But anyway, brother, I appreciate that. It's been
Great
like
chopping
three
it up with
hours,
you, man.
3 hours 40 minutes. So
Yeah, man. I know
I'm
you
gonna
want to
put
get
it to
something
that.
to eat, like a big steak or something, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't eat meat, but yeah,
Mushroom steak.
yeah.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
But thanks for calling. It's been a while.
Peace
I'm
and
glad
blessings
you
to your
came on.
family, bro. Have a good one, man.
Thank you, brother Hotep. So yeah, brothers and sisters, it's been 3 hours and 42 minutes thus far. Um, Thank you for all those who came in on the panel. Thank you for all those who came in the chat. I really like the interaction. I wish people would interact earlier because I kind of flowed by myself for like an hour or so before people started coming. And don't be shy, brothers. I really like to know how you think. What your view is, what your views are, and I don't expect you to come on my platform and just criticize the people that I don't see from a good eye. You know what I'm saying? It's not what it is. You know, you can just come and talk about whatever you want. I'm not going to dictate, who you should be down with and all that. But, uh, don't come on my platform saying that Africans are living a jungle life, and black means death. I have some limits. You know what I'm saying? So remember, brothers and sisters, some might feel like, well, that was just talk. You know what I'm saying? He was just talking this evening, did not teach, he did not go through on any text. You have plenty of material to go through. If you haven't seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, or Kemet and Ma'at for short, you have the link in the description. There's also Deception of Asiatic Black Men that I recommend for you. There's also White Semite's Black Awakening that I recommend for you. All of these links are in the description of this video. For those who think that Prophet Muhammad used to be black, you have the article called Color of Prophet Muhammad according to Islamic sources. It's a very detailed article. For those who want to learn the Medonecha, I'm giving classes. You have my email address also in the description of this video, and you do have my Cash App and PayPal link for those who want to support. Um, Other people who do live streams, and you see the super chat, the super sticker popping up in one live stream, they get, maybe 10, 20 donations. Most of the time when I live stream, I don't get any donations. So when I talk about donations, you don't have to come up, with, you know, 50, 20, $10, even if, The minimum you can, that would help. That would be helpful. You might think it's nothing. You might think, and you don't even have to use a super chat at the end of the day, because super chat, super sticker, it takes a percentage out of it. They take about 30% out of whatever is given. So uh, if you send like a Cash App or a PayPal, other people will not see how much you gave. Don't feel no kind of way. Don't feel no type of way like, oh, it's only $5. It's only $1. The minimum you can, it will help me. You know what I'm saying? And it's important. Some of you feel like, I don't want to study. I don't want to read the language. I don't want to participate. I want to live my life. Well, at least, you can help me financially. Or if you don't want to help me financially, make sure that you hit the like button on the videos, that you subscribe to my channel, that you share the videos on your social media. You can always have these habits of being active, of participating and helping this information of being shared, because um, over the years it's been quite a lonely road. You know, it's been quite a lonely road, and there's only so much I can do by myself. You know, I cannot go around and post everywhere. There was a time when I used to post on many message boards. I don't have the time to do it anymore. And I don't want to pay for my content. To be advertised. You know what I'm saying? So you can help. And if you just hit the like button, and also if you leave comments on the videos, even if it's one word, you can type hotel, you can type what's up, you can type hello, you can put an emoji, a smiley. I'm sure that will help with the algorithm, and then my videos will get the views that they deserve. Even though the video called Kemet my ad has like 300,000 views or so, soon it will have 400,000 views. Um, when it comes to the other videos, it doesn't get much play. So try to take these habits of being proactive. You know, because the Abrahamic believers, they roll for theirs. You know what I'm saying? They will share and support their information in the people that teach or disseminate their information or religion. So think about your brother. It really takes time. Earlier, I spoke about the fact that this is not the free version of StreamYard. I'm paying every month just to use that streaming platform. Um, the website itself, to host the website, there are fees. There are fees for the domain name. There are fees for the website. You know what I'm saying? When I go to all those museums, it's not for free. I'm not invited to these different countries. I'm not invited to those museums. There's a fee in the majority of those museums. And it takes quite a fair bit of money to travel. So try to think about all that. You can participate. You can help me. If you appreciate what I do. If you don't appreciate what I do, then hey, it is what it is. But I would say that over the years I've been accurate. I've been truthful. And if people see it otherwise, don't feel that way, then they can come in. As you know, I don't screen the call, so we can come and have a discussion. We can have a dialogue. We don't need to agree on everything, but we can definitely get some clarity. All right. So once again, thank you, brothers and sisters, and even those who did not come in today, but those who show me love, who will send me some donation, those who will share my videos, because I see some of my videos popping up on TikTok every now and then. I appreciate that. What I'm saying, uh, and your ancestors were not evil, brothers and sisters. There's nothing wrong with paying homage or respect to your ancestors, contrary to what other people might tell you. Think about the ones who were before you, who struggled before you, and who lived a good life. But unfortunately, some religious books portrayed your ancestors as evil people, you know, and that's really bad, If they were evil, so be it, but they were not evil. So stay safe, stay healthy, and if I'm allowed to by the nature of the world, I will definitely holler back at you, Hotep.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving middle nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend everybody I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video Kemet and Ma'at before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Neture classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class. And all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Neture class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/ma'atforever.